tonight until they know for sure that their game at the Spurs will be played. Celtics and Bulls coming up an hour from now. Brooklyn is playing host to Miami again. Brooklyn is trailing by 5, 17-12. The Miami Heat have the lead. Meanwhile, Philadelphia is trailing in Detroit by 17, 57-40. Pistons got the lead in the second quarter. Pacers are out to a 5-point advantage. 4 to play in the second over the Raptors, 54-49. Orlando and Charlotte, it's the Magic by 1, 55-54. In this game at the half, Natalia Sago and Jenna Schroeder, they make up 2/3 of the referee crew assigned to this game. First time in NBA history that 2 women are working the same game together. Top 25 college basketball. It is Syracuse visiting number 8 Virginia. Virginia's got the lead by 11 at 41-30 in the second half. It's part of Big Monday on ESPN. Shaka Smart revealing today is the head coach of Texas. He's tested positive for COVID-19.
Tuesday, Chris Collinsworth will be among my guests as we continue to examine the fallout from Championship Sunday and look ahead to the Super Bowl. That's with me, Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN+.
Isn't this a sports show?
We're all hungry for a little nibbling of some delicious Chiefs talk. So here we go. Num.
Almost entirely.
Third down, Mahomes takes a knee, and that is it. The Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Rush coming. Mahomes floats it. Wide open. Kelsey. Touchdown. Kansas City.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
We're going to play Andy Reid sound. It's thoughtful and interesting. Why don't you get turned to that, you damn animals?
Well, I will when I get about 2 seconds to sit down. That's what I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go, doggone, how about this one? By hey, man alive.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Anywho, I like winning.
I have some things I would like to say today about the Kansas City Chiefs. To the tune of 3 party poppers, to a radio studio that smells like gunpowder. I like winning. And I like what the Kansas City Chiefs did yesterday. I hope that's not too controversial for all of you. But I feel like there is a different energy right now than there was this time a year ago. It's justified, of course. Last year, the Chiefs were ending streaks, droughts that had lasted much longer than I've been alive. Longer than many of you listening have been alive. That was a bigger story. That was a different feeling. But it shouldn't make you feel any lesser with what we're seeing right now. It is really, really, really hard to get to a Super Bowl, to win a Super Bowl. We know that because we watched the Chiefs fail to do that for so long. But it is really, 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 really hard to get back twice in a row. And not any team just did it. The New England Patriots didn't just do it. Tom Brady's team, as he moves between them, didn't just do it. It wasn't the Los Angeles Chargers and all of their great roster talent. It wasn't one of the other contenders. It wasn't the 49ers making their return. It is the team that plays football in the city that people assume is in a different state. Or at least they used to. But things are different now. Because the Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl champions last year, AFC champions 2 years running. And whatever happens 2 weeks from now, we will either luxuriate in it or we will allow it to push us into the year after as Patrick Mahomes finishes his 3rd season as a starter in the AFC Championship game all 3 times, winning it twice, Super Bowl at least once. I kind of feel like the vibe has been a little weird today. It was a little weird last night. Everybody's very businesslike. Everybody's focusing on the job still to come. Last night was for a meager mid-pandemic celebration, and today they're getting back to work. Patrick Mahomes said as much yesterday, I understand that. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But we don't have to watch any of the film right now. It's okay if we all take a moment to appreciate the fact that Buffalo Bills fans were found all across the country yesterday. Everyone was rooting for their streak to end because they were the scrappy underdogs. Everybody was rooting for Josh Allen, the best quarterback in that game, I guess. Sean McDermott and Kevin Stefanski are going to get more Coach of the Year votes than Andy Reid, who eliminated both of them in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers, maybe even Josh Allen, they've been getting MVP hype. Patrick Mahomes is boring. We've seen him win it already. He either wins the MVP or a Super Bowl MVP. Those are his 2 options. So far, he's done one of those every year. We'll see if he does it again this year. There is more to come. 2 weeks from now, the Chiefs will play in another Super Bowl. We'll reevaluate that once we get there. We'll enjoy that, zoom in on that. Even next week will be all about preparing for the Buccaneers. We'll have so much time to talk about all of those things. But right now, you are watching something historic. Not just if they win back-to-back, which is really, 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 really difficult to do, but merely getting to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. It's something that we've seen the Patriots do in recent years, but the modern NFL isn't built to allow things like that. The modern NFL doesn't let you go back-to-back unless you have Brady and Belichick. The Chiefs don't have Brady and Belichick. They've got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. They have an offense that has looked unstoppable in the games they have played in the playoffs these last 2 seasons. A defense that has grown to the point that Josh Allen has floundered against it twice this year. Not only did I stop worrying about the Bills about Thursday last week, because if the Chiefs were healthy, they were going to win that game. Even with the turnovers and free points, they spotted them at the beginning. I'm feeling pretty good about Tampa Bay as well. But I don't want to look that far ahead yet. Because we are finding all of these reasons to look past the thing that is currently happening to the thing that could happen next. No, the job is not done. Everyone has been incredibly clear about that. But we don't have to watch tape right now. We will get there, and whatever happens in Tampa Bay will either rise to a higher level of accomplishment, or it will revert us back to this checkpoint where everything I say right now will only be this true. This will be where the Chiefs' achievements this year stopped. Maybe this will be the high point, but if it is, don't miss out on this high point because you're so worried about the next one. Back-to-back Super Bowl champions, that sounds wonderful. But following a championship with a run-it-back campaign that became so assumed, so businesslike, that it even seeped into the fan base and into the media, where the Chiefs won the AFC Championship game again last night, something that caused parties in the streets a year ago, and our collective reaction was largely nice. They did the thing they said they were going to do. Let's see if they can win one more game. Don't overlook this, because this doesn't happen very often, and it absolutely never happens in Kansas City. Or it never used to. That was then. This is much more fun. The Kansas City Chiefs are AFC champions twice over. They're going back to the Super Bowl. They're going to go face Tom Brady. But right now, enjoy what we've seen these last 2 years already. I thought I hit the end of the music. How much music is left, Rudy? My outdoor voice only has so much juice left. Boy, I thought I nailed it.
2.5 minutes.
Kansas City! Listen, we can come back down here again. Do you understand why this is the energy I feel like bringing today? Because Twitter doesn't have this particular heat right now. Chiefs Twitter, Chiefs fans that I've spoken to, interacted with so far, have not been where we were last year, and that's fine. This is a procedural step in many ways. It's the thing you have to do to win another Super Bowl. Absolutely. But this is not a guarantee. This is not guaranteed to Tom Brady's Patriots nor Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs. This is an accomplishment. This is also an achievement. And this is also expected. It is all of those things all at once, all tied together. Less than this point would have left us with a bad taste in our mouths. Not winning the Super Bowl in 2 weeks may leave us with a bad taste in our mouths if the Chiefs can't pull off the back-to-back title trip. But that in and of itself is a reflection of how far this team has come, this city has come, this quarterback has taken all of us. The scales are different. The AFC Championship, the Lamar Hunt Trophy, became expected, as it should, to stay in Kansas City. Celebrate the fact that it got locked up. Celebrate the fact that we have the opportunity to see the Lamar Hunt Trophy back in Kansas City. Remember how Bill Belichick held it after the 2018 AFC Championship game? I was cursed to watch that not too long ago again. And he's just sort of holding it like those little designs in it are handles. He's just kind of yanking it around because he's got a whole cabinet full of those. The Chiefs can take it, put it up in the cabinet, and then try to pair it with another Lombardi without forgetting that they've brought this trophy back to Kansas City 2 years in a row after it had been gone so long that it probably forgot what Kansas City looked like. This is an achievement. This is a lot of fun. This isn't over yet. This is Almost Entirely Sports. I'm Joshua Brisco. Rudy Salazar on the other side of the glass, and we have a lot to talk about here tonight. Rudy, I popped my party poppers. You go ahead and you want to pop yours. I think you've got at least.
Yeah, I meant to when the music was up. But
that's all right. We had a big open.
Yeah, I just found stuff that had to be fixed all of a sudden. I was like, oh,
that's fine.
Fix this because we, it'll be bad.
Need to be on the radio. That's a good sound.
It's a good pop.
It's a great smell. Oh, breathe it in, baby. Oh, was that a dud?
Well, that was a little.
Well, here, come get another one. Just run in here. I'll throw it over the glass to you. No, that's not gonna do it. I don't think that's gonna do it.
Pop.
Yeah, I think that plant's just littering.
Pop. Pop, pop, pop.
Do you want me to do another one? Because that was very anticlimactic. Woo! This one was in a lot of smaller pieces. Not like individual flakes of confetti, but like this one made a little bit of a mess. Smells like high expectations and achieving them. I hope all of this makes sense for Chiefs fans right now, especially the ones who aren't sure exactly how they should feel. Because this is the exact space that we are even more unfamiliar with than we were at this time last year. Because it was strange to be favored in playoff games. It was even stranger to actually win them and not have them come crashing down in some horrendous fashion. But I really have kind of gotten the feel over these last couple of days that that a lot of Chiefs fans aren't sure that this is something that can be celebrated. I have a hoodie, my wonderful favorite Charlie Hustle hoodie from last year, with the skyline of Kansas City. It says City of Champions over the top, and it says Kansas City underneath it. Continuing the Kansas City stereotype that I did not realize was a Kansas City stereotype until I was reading Rustin Dodd's story in The Athletic a few days ago about Patrick Mahomes and like the city of Kansas City altogether. And Rustin said something about how Kansas Cityans lead the country in wearing shirts advertising their city or something to that extent. It's a great point. We have all the Charlie Hustle stuff. We've got there's a civic pride that reaches beyond just the sports teams, but very much includes the sports teams. Anyway, that notwithstanding. If you want to go to Rally House and grab your AFC Championship gear, you should. We don't know what's going to happen in 2 weeks. Will they successfully run it back the whole way? Maybe. We'll find out soon enough. But what happens if they lose to Tampa? If you're feeling reserved right now, you want to save the big celebration for the big victory. You don't want to over-celebrate the Lamar Hunt Trophy because the Lombardi Trophy is so close. Fine. Tell me now, what will you do if they lose to the Buccaneers? A distinct possibility. Not one that I, spoiler alert, feel very likely to predict, but a very possible outcome. 1 game sample size, 2 excellent teams. Cool. Fine. What happens if they lose? Will you regret having the hat or the t-shirt that reminds you of the time that the Chiefs merely ended up in second place? Is it celebrating a silver medal? Maybe. Maybe. But go ask everyone else what they would prefer. Do you think that San Francisco 49ers fans are ashamedly rocking NFC Championship gear from NFC Champions gear from last year? I bet they're not, because this year they didn't get close to anything worthwhile. There were no shirts or hats being printed. Maybe you forego the AFC West Championship gear because we've got a lot of it in all of our shared closets. Fair enough. But you can both be proud of the fact that your team succeeded in this way once again, and also continue to expect that they're going to go one step further. And really, the thing that I've been thinking about this today, I was thinking about it a little bit last night as the postgame show was going on. The most incredible thing about all of this, from the Chiefs' perspective, from the Kansas City perspective, the most incredible thing isn't that the Chiefs won 2 AFC championships in a row. A thing that's very, very, very hard to do. I think the stat I saw on ESPN last night was that 14 teams have gone to back-to-back Super Bowls, which would include the Patriots a couple of times. I think it's saying like that's happened, it's happened 14 times. I think it was the stat I saw. It's even harder in this era. But that's not even the most sort of celebratory thing today. The thing that I think we should be, ironically, celebrating the most is the fact that it almost feels premature to celebrate another Super Bowl appearance. Because Super Bowl appearance, that third word, is not the one that the Chiefs had in their goals before the year. And not in the way that everyone's trying to be the Super Bowl champion, but in a way that means we want to do the thing we did last year and just run it back, which is built into the very fabric of NFL football, is that you can't do that. It's just so difficult. And what's the actual, outside of Patrick Mahomes spending 5 non-football days in the concussion protocol and the exit from the Browns game, what was the closest this team got to seeing it fall apart? Or what was even the storyline that provided you some amount of concern? Because you know what the storyline was leading up to this game that the Chiefs just dominated the Buffalo Bills through? A good football team who was here on real merit, by the way. What was the storyline? What was the negative about the Chiefs? The Bills are getting hot at the right time, and the Chiefs just keep winning games by one possession. They're just one possession. Are they going to be able to turn it on? With no note of the fact that the Chiefs were not trading touchdowns through these games. These were largely games, not all of them, largely games, though, where they had a lead settled, and then it got closer, and then the game ended, with the Chiefs never being in real, legitimate danger. With no care for the specifics of the fact the Chiefs didn't need to turn it on for this game. They just needed to continue doing what they've done. The idea that this offense was in any way, shape, or form like underperforming, maybe in the way where that we've talked about, to say they haven't ever, for weeks and weeks and weeks, the Chiefs didn't score points outside of the window that they really needed to as often as we would have liked. We talked about that plenty. You will have a really tough time scrubbing through every recorded moment of my voice on the radio, trying to find me saying somewhere that I was concerned that the Chiefs offense may have lost that top gear. Because that was never a concern for me. Or for any of us around here, I would hope. And frankly, it looked like they were going to have their playoff blowout against the Browns, and then they had to hold on with Chad Henne. And then against the Bills last night, the Chiefs won a game 38-24 over, kind of the latest up-and-coming darling. When in reality, this game was essentially over at 31-15. And then it was hella over at 38-15, and then the Bills scored a few more points, and the final score looked respectable, but if you didn't catch it, a 2-possession loss for the Bills, a 2-possession win for the Chiefs. Think about how you felt whenever the Chiefs beat the Titans last year, and think about how far those goalposts have moved. Which isn't even a bad thing. It's something that I wanted to talk about last year, to say, hey, appreciate what we're seeing now. Because in our lifetimes, we are never going to have this feeling of the Chiefs just won their first Super Bowl in 50 years ever again. You only get that particular feeling once. This is not their first AFC Championship game victory in 50 years. It's just another one. It's why Bill Belichick has a pile of Lamar Hunt trophies in the corner of his shed. But it doesn't mean that we should forget how hard it is to get back to this spot and celebrate it whenever they once again lock it up. We got 2 weeks to talk about the Buccaneers. We'll probably do a little bit of it later tonight, in all honesty. But the Chiefs did some incredible things against the Bills yesterday, and they did it as the favorite who people were trying to poke holes in, and they did it in largely dominant ways that I think really reflect the fact that everybody is grading on a curve for the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody is grading on a curve because grading them straight up against everybody else is going to make everybody else look bad. Because no one else has this offense. No one else has Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, who, by the way, were the entire offense yesterday. With apologies to the cameo appearances from Byron Pringle and Darrell Williams, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, those running backs scored touchdowns. Mecole Hardman. There were some plays in there from all of those guys. But this offense ran exactly through 4 people, and only 3 of them were wearing helmets, and only 2 of them were catching passes. There's so much good from this game. There's so many things to talk about. Before we start shifting into the 2 weeks of breathless Super Bowl previewing, I want to spend some time talking about all the good stuff we saw last night that some people... I'm not even being sort of accidentally shady here. I'm not telling you anybody, but some people weren't sure that still existed within the Chiefs' capacity. We'll talk about some of those things whenever we come back.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
Aristocrat Motors has an SUV that will fit your needs and your budget. So start 2021 by making your selection at Aristocrat Motors. From certified pre-owned to new, we have a Mercedes-Benz, Maserati, Alfa Romeo, Porsche, Land Rover, or Jaguar to fit your needs. Ask about financing that is as low as 0% and our leases that are simply sign and then drive into your future. Aristocrat Motors. We make it possible at I-35 and Shawnee Mission Parkway or online at aristocratmotors.com.
Do you have a frog, a freezing room over the garage? Now that everyone is home, are you looking to convert your frog into an office, a schoolroom, or a comfortable room to escape your family? With no ductwork required, Mitsubishi Electric offers room-by-room air filtration and precise temperature control. Let's help you turn those cold, uncomfortable spaces in your house into a space you and your family will really enjoy. To learn more about Mitsubishi Electric's solutions, visit keepkccool.com today. Now, they can help you whether you need to heat it up or cool it down. Mitsubishi's got you covered. Our biggest problem here in the Sports Radio 810 control room and studio was the heat. We've got a lot of windows and a lot of radio equipment, and our Mitsubishi unit has kept us cool for years. It works like a charm, and it works quickly, and it's whisper quiet. It's been a real game changer for us at Sports Radio 810. Check them out at keepkccool.com. That's keepkccool.com today.
KC Motor Club offers a boutique-style luxury car storage for exotic, antique, sports, and classic cars. Your private membership at KC Motor Club includes access to their lounge with TVs, a meeting area, kitchen, and outdoor seating area. Impress a client or friend. They offer car enthusiasts a climate-controlled, secure space along with a 1,000-square-foot lounge area to entertain. KC Motor Club takes the stress out of your auto storage. Become part of an auto club that gives you the garage of your dreams. Call 816-985-6116 or online at kcmotorclub.com.
You've probably heard Tom Shane on the radio for years, but have you actually experienced a visit to Shane Company? If you're planning to pop the question on Valentine's Day, we're the destination for you. You just gotta go to the store, or you can go online to create an engagement ring that fits your budget and reflects her personal style. We're talking a massive selection of always natural, always ethically sourced diamonds, rubies, and sapphires, plus a huge assortment of ring settings in every price range. Our team of jewelry consultants will help you find exactly what you're looking for. And you can expect zero pressure because they're all non-commissioned. When you're done collaborating, her engagement ring will look spectacular, like nobody else's ring. She'll get all the compliments, you'll get all the credit. And get this, with their warranty, if anything happens to the ring, they've got you covered for life, for free. Do yourself a favor and get your engagement ring your way, only at Shane Company.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business, Shane Company and shaneco.com.
Whether you're looking for energy savings for the winter or updating your home office or man cave, One Stop Decorating is the place for beautiful, energy-efficient window coverings. One Stop Decorating offers free in-home or virtual consultations, or you can come into one of their 3 beautiful showrooms to see all the window coverings in their Hunter Douglas galleries. Ask about smart shades that can be controlled by Google, Alexa, and HomeKit. 913-270-0408, 913-270-0408, or onestopdecorating.com. Your home, your windows, your style.
When you want Chiefs, follow the leader. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Mahomes floats it, wide open, Kelsey, touchdown, and the Chiefs are running away with it.
Yeah, I mean, the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl. Have a chance to repeat and get to do it against the best. I mean, it's something special.
I can't wait to go down to Tampa in 2 weeks and give them our best shot.
Sports Radio 810 WHB. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I went to BYU, so every down's a throwing down. I mean, that's how that goes.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Totally unnecessarily, but just because that's the intro there, that's the liner that Rudy played, I did want to note that the Chiefs had probably their best offensive game of the season, and their running backs at the point of Josh Allen's interception had carried the ball 9 times for 20 yards, and it didn't matter. It was fine. Everything was cool because Patrick Mahomes plays quarterback. I don't want to dwell on that because people get mad at me, and then people try to fight about it, and I don't want or need the fight. But the Chiefs' best offense is throwing the football, even when Patrick Mahomes is coming off of a week of sort of unknown specifics in the concussion protocol, and then we find out day of the game that he's got a carbon fiber toe thing going around his toe that apparently has turf toe. They just threw the ball 38 times, and Mahomes was deadly accurate, deadly precise, and just basically threw the ball to 2 dudes all day long. Tyreek Hill was 9 for 172. Travis Kelce was 13 for 118. And Byron Pringle was 3 for 22. This was a 2-man receiving core. And it worked because your 2 men there are Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Things are good. That's all. That'll do. That is all right. We'll talk much more about a few of the highlights from this game that I really want to hone in on. But you can interact with the show in a whole variety of ways if you want to watch and see the show in terms of, just visually, I guess. You can watch the show at the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube channels. Facebook.com/SportsRadio810, Twitch.tv/SportsRadio810, and YouTube.com/810WHB. It's also a place you can leave comments and whatnot. I forgot to open the comment thread thing before the show, so I do not have any comments, but Rudy has a bunch of comments. Rudy, hit me with a few from the various pages.
So far it's basically just Twitch. We do have one text that I'll throw in first.
Okay.
Guy says he says he will tell you how you should feel. No geeking out over AFC championships. We're beyond being happy for second place. I mostly wanted to bring it up. You can address if you want. This guy just sounds like a dork to me personally. So I just wanted to bring that up for my own sake.
Why can't you be happy about the steps along the way?
Because he's a dork.
This is so difficult to do. It's not celebrating second place. It's celebrating that you're in the game to decide who's in first and second. This game is qualifying for the Olympic finals. Why can't you celebrate that 2 weeks in advance? What good does it do for you to be curmudgeonly about it?
Because he's a dork.
What? I'm not saying that about you, listener. Rudy is, though.
And as Matthew McConaughey once said, don't be a dork.
It's okay to be excited about the fact that you're... Let me put it this way. I don't know how old this guy is. I'm going to say for at least me and for a lot of people listening right now, what you saw last night was the Kansas City Chiefs win their second AFC Championship game in your lifetime. At least in mine. Last year, that was cause for celebration. This year, of course, again, the goalposts have moved. What I am beseeching you to do is to take a moment of reflection to think about how incredible it is that we have come this far in a year. Listen, I mean, the regular season wins that would have gotten us excited in years past. The Chiefs rolled through the regular season and went on the road and beat a whole bunch of Super Bowl contenders. Yeah, of course, in years past, those would have been things that would have given us, would have changed the narrative about what can this team accomplish, blah, 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 blah. Well, this year, we don't need that because we know what this team can accomplish. They ended the year 14-1 with their starters. Winning the AFC West and locking up that, not that big of a deal. We expected it, of course. Do you expect them to be in the AFC Championship game? Absolutely. I'm willing to draw the line there and to say that winning your conference and being one of the 2 remaining teams playing for the championship, when they're not playing tomorrow, man. If this game was happening tomorrow, the vibe of today's show would probably be different. You can take 2 days to appreciate the fact that you even go so far as to appreciate the fact that the team you're rooting for is so good that you have the luxury of feeling like a conference championship, being the best team in the AFC, is something to be expected. But here's the other part of it, though. The Patriots, the greatest thing I've seen come out of all of sports in my lifetime. The most impressive run, the most impressive team, organization, franchise, head coach, quarterback, and certainly combination of all of those things. They are the gold standard. Dudes are still getting hired to be GMs of other teams, and coordinators are still getting hired to be other teams' head coaches because of the Patriot way. The Patriots had a decade in the middle of all of that where they did not win a Super Bowl. They got to a couple, certainly. You can thank the Giants for the fact that this is a true thing I can say out loud. The Patriots did not win a Super Bowl for a decade in the middle of this incredible dynastic run. I think as soon as you find yourself being truly expectant of really large accomplishments, you've kind of lost the plot. Again, tomorrow's show will not be this exact same vibe. But the Monday, if we can't have the Monday after the AFC Championship game to appreciate the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in the AFC, and by pretty much every standard, and as they're favored in Vegas right now, the best team in football, and it is them and Tom Brady now, and they're playing in another Super Bowl, which I never saw until last year with my eyes. If we can't appreciate that the Monday after it happens, when can we? And maybe your answer is never. And if you're going to only allow yourself to feel some football-related joy whenever they're holding a Lombardi trophy, you're going to have some really dark years because they're not going to be here every year. They have the quarterback who could put them here every year, but Patrick Mahomes has gotten hurt a couple of times in these freak plays. If that happens at the wrong time, things get derailed. What if they don't end up with the first round bye this year? I don't know. What happens if without Eric Fisher in 2 weeks, the Buccaneers pass rush is just carnivorous and they lose, and then, all right, now what happens next year? Okay, now, Travis Kelce gets hurt next year and everything's falling apart. Oh, the salary cap drops, and how are they going to make... There are so many ways that are baked in to the way the NFL works that is more or less designed so you don't have one team winning the conference every year, and so every team drafting top 5 believes that next year might be their year. At least appreciate the fact that the Chiefs are in a position to break that, and let that be exciting to you. But please, distinguish between the happiness that you should be able to feel from your team winning every meaningful game this year to get to the final stage once again, and then allow yourself to feel whatever happens 2 weeks from now. You don't have to reserve your feelings for right now. You may feel joy now. You may feel happiness now, and then figure out what you feel next week when we get to next week. Anyway, thank you, Texter. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry I already called you a dork. The views and opinions expressed by Rudy Salazar do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Josh Brisco or Sports Radio 810 WHP. But you are engaging in dork-like behavior. I'm not saying that makes... What else did the commenters leave, Rudy?
Eric on the Facebook just simply says Chiefs will win by 10 or more. Wade on YouTube is wondering when he's going to be able to get video of. I assume he doesn't mention times hours. I don't know if you guys have released any video products of that, but he talks about Nate and Seth, so I assume he's also talking about just Wade
is talking about times ours in the comments.
And I don't know if you guys are doing if you guys have ever done a video aspect to that, but
not really. But I might just try to film Nate more often.
Yeah, he just wants to see all you guys' happy faces when you guys go nuts about the Chiefs winning.
That might be something that we explore in the future. Good call, Wade.
And then on the Twitch, Chili Cheese.
So
with a Z.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
We are the villains, the hated team. Embrace the Chiefs kingdom. The NFL is under new management. We are the dark side, and I bleeping love it.
So this is the thing. If you don't enjoy that, you're gonna have a bad decade. Not that was reflective of the previous texter, but that's the other thing, man. We don't celebrate conference championships. Bleep, yeah, we do. This bleep is hard. This is tough. Absolutely, we celebrate conference championships. Chad Henne had to win a playoff game. These are not given out. So yeah, be the villain. Start stacking Lamar Hunt trophies. Appreciate the fact that we got all those in those cabinets over there at Arrowhead. Cool. But the Kansas City is the home of the NFL's big bad right now. And that's going to be fun. It's going to be annoying at times. You're going to find those stupid graphics from NFL Live or whatever that says Bills have the quarterback and wide receiver advantage, but the Chiefs have the coach and defense advantage. You're going to get those graphics because they want David to beat Goliath.
I mean, they were right. Chiefs did have the defensive and coaching advantage.
They were 50% right.
They were right there.
They were absolutely 50% right. What else came from Twitch?
So between Chaotic Warrior, Z-Man, and Beekter, I assume is how you pronounce that username, basically had a conversation wondering why NFL playoff apparel is just so ugly, and then also kind of evolved into how bland Super Bowl apparel is.
Yeah, you know what? Here, I'll give you two. I got two takes on this.
One of the things is, and this might be one of their takes, and I imagine this will be one of your takes, especially as far as the Super Bowl goes. I forget what year it was that they basically just decided to go from original designs that reflect the host city to just a generic, very kind of, again, not a bad logo, but just a bland,
remarkably generic
logo.
Extremely corporate.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the first place to go here. The Super Bowl logo, I did notice some people finding this out for the first time, which I thought was kind of funny, because they were looking at merch 2 years in a row because the Chiefs are in it. Good reason, which is kind of funny. Starting with Super Bowl XLV, 45. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 45.
Starting with Super Bowl 45, they changed it to the whole logo is chrome, and then there's a Lombardi trophy, the Roman numerals underneath it, and then the stadium that it was played in is behind it, also in chrome. But it is absolutely indistinguishable from Super Bowl 45 through 49. Then Super Bowl 50, they put the 50 in gold, and it's basically the same thing then. And then Super Bowl 51 through 55 are all basically the same versions of each other. Weirdly, Super Bowl 55 looks more Miami in its color scheme than 54 did. I don't know why. This one's in Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa Bay, Miami, basically the same city.
Basically. I don't know why that is the case, but it's really a bummer because some of the listen, even though not every single Super Bowl logo before this very corporate sort of minimalist chrome approach, not all of them were winners, but they were at least all kind of interesting. I had the reason I'm a Suns fan is because my grandparents moved to Arizona when I was pretty young. So I've been out to Arizona a bunch and love it there. I distinctly remember like a hat that I have a Super Bowl. It's got to be Super Bowl 42 that was Steelers Cardinals that I only remember. Will you look that up for me really quick, Rudy? Super Bowl 42. I think that has to be Steelers Cardinals because I have a hat that has just the logo on it. It's just generic Super Bowl merch. And then I remember seriously like balloons that my mom bought for like our Super Bowl at-home watch party for Super Bowl 50 or Super Bowl 43, which I think
43 was Pittsburgh, Arizona.
Was it?
Yes.
No, you know what it was? Super Bowl 42 was in Arizona. Fact check me there. Did I get it? I think Super Bowl 42 must have been in Arizona. It was in Glendale. All right, I was close.
Patriots, Giants.
But I had that hat because, just simply because it was played in Arizona, and either my mom or my grandma bought it for me or whatever. I think I probably still have it. It definitely doesn't fit me anymore, but I probably still have it. But there's at least some character there, and it can reflect the city a little bit. The one from 2001 had two logos. There was an original, very New Orleans logo, and then there was the logo that it got changed to. It's very patriotic, post 9/11. There are little stories to them that I just find really interesting. And again, ideally, it kind of reflects, Super Bowl XL was in Detroit, and it's very bold, and it'll bite your bleeping kneecaps off as you stand back up. And so that makes it harder on that front. The other thing, though, is all of the conference championship and divisional championship and Super Bowl championship merch all has to be so generic that it will work with any team that could possibly, because those designs are figured out so far in advance. I was all right with how it's evolved with the new logos and stuff, because I've got obviously a couple of things from last year, and in the way that they sort of solved that problem to have merch that could work for the Chiefs or the Niners and really could have worked for the Titans or the Packers or whatever, is that it's all very silver and gray and stuff, and then your team's logo gets basically ironed on. The same beanies could have been made for any team, but they just have a Chiefs logo and a square there. It was all right. It's come around. I will say the conference championship ones look like they have that kind of paintbrush aesthetic that a lot of old. That's a very 90s. The old paintbrush painted hats. Yeah. That's got to be an early 90s trend. Bringing that back is kind of fun, but it's hard to do without bigger colors. And whenever everything is a different shade of gray, don't make the joke. Then it's, you know what, actually, it's just Colin Cowherd clip about having whips have nothing to do with baseball. There we go. All right, we landed it. It just limits your creativity. Anywho, I like winning. Was there anything else, Rudy? You said something about Harry Potter at one point that I was really curious, but I couldn't see any of those.
Z-Man was wondering if he asked, I wonder if Brisco would do a reading of Harry Potter. Chaotic Warrior followed it up with saying, I'd listen as long as Rudy and Beards do it also with different voices, as in reading character.
Absolutely. Sure. I'm pretty sure that would be some sort of... I vaguely remember some YouTuber doing either that or something very much like that.
Copyright issue, yeah.
It's got to be a copy because you're basically making an audiobook.
Yeah, the book has to be in public domain or
that's
the author
right. Because Clint McElroy tried to do this, and then you're right.
Or the author has to be okay with it, like Neil Gaiman, who does American God. Dude's wrote a ton of stories. The current author, Good Omens, it is a TV show on or on Amazon. Yeah. He wrote the book. American Gods is the book he wrote that's now a TV show on Showtime. A lot of his books have religious themes behind them, right?
Okay.
A lot of Norse mythology, American, American Gods, all that stuff. Not the point. When we went into the quarantine, he said anybody who wants to use any of my books for any sort of online reading, YouTube, all that stuff, it's fair game.
Nice.
Anybody can read
that's
my stories.
Cool.
So the author can come out and say that. Otherwise, it has to be in public domain, which is I
could read some Sherlock.
Are 100.
Some old Sherlock Holmes books. They got to be public domain, right?
It might be 100 years old. Yeah, Sherlock. I'm trying to think because
I could probably read Frankenstein. You know what?
Frankenstein, you could. Sherlock.
I think Great Gatsby just went into the public domain.
Sherlock is a little. I think iffy because it's Conan
O'Brien.
It's Sir Arthur Conan. Is that
it's
his name?
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle O'Brien.
He I don't know if not him because I believe he's dead, but his family, the estate of the Sherlock Holmes. I think they pretty frequently are suing people.
It says a number of Sherlock Holmes stories, the original Conan Doyle ones, are in the public domain.
Okay, cool.
But Sherlock Holmes, the character, I guess, is it?
Yeah, it's a weird. Here's a funny little thing. There is a show in Japan that's been going on for about 30 years. It's basically based off. Sherlock, like it's based off this detective whose name is Conan, from Conan, from Arthur Conan, and it's basically just Sherlock, and basically it's been going on for like I think it's over 1,000 episodes now.
Holy bleep.
It might be getting close to 2,000 episodes. It's been like 29, 30 years. But anyways, the Sherlock Holmes, that estate has tried to sue them, or has sued them like just countless times. Like basically it's a yearly thing.
I had no idea we had tapped into such an area of expertise
and
for you.
And we just do this every year.
Here's what I can give you. Here's from The Guardian 7 years ago. Sherlock Holmes is public property, but steer clear of Watson's second wife. I don't know what that means. That's the headline. Here's what apparently you can do.
First wife, fair game.
I think it must be about timing. I don't know. Anyway, what it sounds like is most of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's creations is in public domain, but details from post-1923 stories remain off limits. So maybe Watson has a second wife sometime post-1923? Anyway. There we go.
I like winning.
I love Drew Brees. There we go. We're caught up on comments. There's still a bunch more that have made their way in, but now I can read them so we can take those comments at our leisure. There's still a ton to talk about from the game last night, and so many things to break down. We'll talk to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest in about 10 minutes. Ethan Douglas of The Athletic will join us in about an hour and 10 minutes. That's all on the docket here tonight on Almost Entirely Sports.
At JB Briscoe, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
Greg Gurley here for Buck Roofing. The only consistent thing about Kansas City weather is change. There's only one company I trust, and that's the same company I called to work on my mom's house, Buck Roofing. Put this number in your phone, 913-384-2680. I'm a Jayhawk, and we know Ron's a Wildcat. The only thing we both agree on is Buck Roofing is the best roofer in all of Kansas City. Your home is probably your biggest investment, which is why you need a trusted roofing company to repair or replace your roof, and that company is Buck Roofing. When Ron Buck and his team repair or replace your roof, you know they will be here years from now to take care of anything you need for the life of your roof. Need a little help with financing? Buck Roofing can arrange that as well. For all your repair and replacement needs, call Buck Roofing, 913-384-2680 or online at rbuckroofing.com. Sleep well knowing Buck Roofing fixed the roof over your head.
The cold weather has arrived here in the Midwest, and the deer are moving more than ever. You know what that means. Whether you're hunting for that trophy buck or trying to fill the freezer, Bushnell has the gear you need to have success in the stand during the winter months. Having a quality rangefinder can make or break your hunt. You can hunt with confidence when you use one of our feature-packed prime laser rangefinders with ARC technology. And with 2 times the brightness, Bushnell's rangefinders offer the best low-light performance on the market. Visit the all-new Bushnell.com and order one today. Do you have chronic joint pain, not having success with steroids, but trying to avoid surgery? Well, thankfully, there's a better way, and now it's available in our area from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics, now off 435 and State Line. This is Stephen St. John, and I'm talking about new therapies, advanced all-natural regenerative cell treatments that not only give you relief, but speed up the process of healing and repair. If you've got pain in your knees, shoulder, lower back, hips, or pain from arthritis, or even pain from an old injury, you need to learn more about these potent new regenerative solutions. Call now for a free consultation. QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. These remarkable new treatments increase mobility, decrease pain, and restore tissue. They actually allow your body to heal itself. Regenerative medicine is here. Don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics off 435 and State Line, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299.
Listen up, Chiefs Kingdom. It's time to get ready for all the big games. No one does watch parties better than Hy-Vee. Let Hy-Vee help you party in style with a huge selection of official Chiefs apparel, paper goods, party supplies, and more. Start off the day right by picking up the limited edition Patrick Mahomes cereal. Then feed your hungry team with a perfect party tray, burgers, brats, wings, and ready-to-bake pizza. No time to prepare? Let Hy-Vee quarterback your party with full-service catering, home delivery, and setup. Elevate your home gate at Hy-Vee, the official grocery sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
You know what you do after you run the ball on 1st and 10 and you get 0 yards? You run that ball again. You establish that run.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we have like a minute. Wow, we have a minute here. We'll get to Matt Derrick in a second. I have big topics that we're not going to fit in a minute. I can take a couple questions, though. Juan on Facebook says, Juan here, do you remember when we traded Alex Smith? You and I are the only few people who believed in Mahomes. Nailed it. Thank you for bringing that up, Juan, and giving me a chance to pat myself on the back, and I'll virtually pat you on the back as well because we were right, and I feel good about that. Apparently, Chad Henne was in Gridiron Heights, according to Wade. I have not seen the new Gridiron Heights yet. That's very exciting. And then Beektor asked about how Terez Paylor and Charles Robinson were saying that Josh Allen had a learning experience similar to the Mahomes against the Patriots 2 years ago in the AFC Championship game. I think there's a little bit of something to that, but you know, and Beektor was saying that it's more of learning different things about both of those guys. I think that's both true. I think Josh Allen will take some things away from that game, and also we knew that Patrick Mahomes had a higher ceiling when we were watching those games happen. Matt Derrick is next.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
In these trying times, Kansas City Credit Union knows how important cash flow is in your household. With rates near all-time lows, now's the time to take action. Free up some cash by lowering your monthly car loan payment when you refinance your auto loan with Kansas City Credit Union. And as a bonus, Kansas City Credit Union will delay your payments for 90 days. Visit kansascitycreditunion.com/810sports for more information. Kansas City Credit Union, your path to financial freedom.
Want a low fixed rate in the twos? It's yours. Looking for a true no-cost loan? You got it. How does A1 Mortgage do this? The answer is simple, by offering real-time rates without the inflated markup. Call A1 Mortgage now at 816-822-8888, 822-8888. Whether you're purchasing or refinancing, FHA, VA, conventional, or jumbo, A1 Mortgage has you covered with fixed rates starting in the twos, true no-cost loans, and financing up to 100%. Call A1 Mortgage now and have your loan closed in about a week and enjoy no payments for 2 months. 816-822-8888. That's 822-8888. Or apply online at mya1mortgage.com.
A1 Mortgage, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
A1 Mortgage Group LLC, a Kansas licensed mortgage company. License number MC0001649, NMLS 268370. Programs and rates subject to change without notice.
If we learned anything in 2020, it's that life is unpredictable. There are some things that you just can't control. All the more reason why you need to appreciate and hold tight those special people in your life. That relationship you know you can count on no matter what. At Diamonds Direct, your love is our passion. Your relationship is why we exist, and we stand ready to help you create those memorable moments in 2021 that celebrate and solidify those unbreakable bonds. Our selection of precious rare diamonds has never been greater. From a simple 1-carat princess cut to a breathtaking 10-carat round brilliant, we have your perfect diamond in stock every day at the guaranteed best value price in America. And even in unpredictable times, Diamonds Direct's commitment to you will never waver. We promise the largest selection, the highest quality, the best value, the strongest warranties, and the most unforgettable experience. So as life gets back to normal this new year, remember, cling to the ones you adore by showing them how much they mean to you. And we'll always be here to help. Diamonds Direct.
At 119th and Row.
Hi, I'm Jordan, president of Digital Lagoon, a web and design agency. This year, I'm proud to be celebrating 25 years in business. Here at Digital Lagoon, we can provide you with a strategic digital marketing strategy. With the implementation of social media, SEO, and online advertising, these programs are proven to improve your website traffic. Let us collaborate with you to structure a plan and cut through the digital noise. Check us out at lagoon.com. That's lagoon.com.
You're listening to the most powerful sports station in the country. Sports Radio 810, WHB Kansas City, the power of sports.
In the NBA tonight, the Pelicans and Spurs were supposed to get together. However, they became the 22nd game this season, postponed due to the NBA's league health and safety protocols because each team could not field enough players. You're supposed to be able to have at least 8 in order to have an NBA game go on here in this day and age of the coronavirus pandemic. However, neither team could do so, so the Pelicans and Spurs game has been postponed. This also just in from ESPN's Pelicans reporter Andrew Lopez and ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. The context and the crux of this issue was that was a potential coronavirus exposure to a non-team member of the traveling parties for both the Spurs and the Pelicans in recent days. Remember, this is something the NBA has really had to look at hard in terms of how many people are around players on the teams and how many players are going to be around those outside of the normal health and safety testing protocol. So the Pelicans and Spurs bang tonight, 22nd game to be postponed in the NBA this year. League's union players, part of the Players Association, are also thinking about having this year's NBA All-Star Game. It would be a one-day singular event, would take place potentially on March 7th. That's according to Adrian Wojnarowski. And ideally, Chris Paul, the president of the Players Union, does say he likes this idea, would like to have it benefit the historically black colleges and universities. The NBA tonight, Brooklyn trying to go for the over for the 13th consecutive game. Not happening. 58-55. They're in the second half. Long way to go.
We're back on Tuesday, and the quarterback market is filled with ex-Pro Bowlers. I'll tell you why Matthew Stafford will have more suitors than Deshaun Watson. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
The dog needs to be peeing, Josh. Let the dog be comfortable peeing.
Outside. It needs to pee outside. That's where dog pee goes, Matt.
On Sports Radio 810, WHB.
It feels like I just talked to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest no less than 24 hours ago. In fact, actually less than 24 hours ago. But doesn't mean we can't talk to him twice. In fact, as this day has gone on, I've only gotten more questions and more things that I've wanted to talk about following the Chiefs' AFC Championship game victory over the Buffalo Bills. Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest does, in fact, join us now. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick and read all of his work on ChiefsDigest.com. Matt, here's what I want to throw out to you, because it's something that I feel like I've seen some people kind of struggling with this. I finally kind of landed where I'm at the beginning of tonight's show. How should Chiefs fans feel about winning a second consecutive conference championship game? And also, isn't it odd that that is a question that I can ask with a straight face?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not something that a lot of fan bases get to ask themselves.
Yeah.
With a straight face or otherwise. Good question, because as a Mizzou fan, first of all, I don't have a lot of experience with consecutive wins, much less single wins of any sort. So that's a problem. But no, I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's never going to be as cool as the first one.
Yeah.
Which is, what I said last year was, hey, soak it in and enjoy that run as much as you can, because there might be more, but you're always going to remember that first one more. And I think even watched that celebration last night. That's why, I asked Travis Kelce. I felt like I kind of stumped the band a little bit when I was asking him, is the emotion, are the emotions different this year than they were last year at this time?
Mm-hmm.
And they're bound to be. I mean, I don't think the excitement's quite as there. It's not that it's not cool, but my only words of advice and wisdom is don't become obnoxious about it. Don't become complacent about it. Don't become the fan base that's like, if you don't make the Super Bowl, then everybody's a loser and needs to be, released and fired.
Right.
Don't be the fan base that's just, don't become Nebraska fans. Don't become Patriots fans. Just plot a new course.
Here's first of all, I think your point about it will never be as sweet as the first one. I think is, I mean, maybe there'll be some extenuating circumstances years down the road, right? Where, I don't know, something terrible happens and Patrick Mahomes has a comeback story after an injury the year prior. Whatever. Knock on wood that doesn't happen. But I think that you're right to say, and I said this way earlier in the show, that the Chiefs will, in our lifetimes, never again win their first Super Bowl in 50 years.
Right.
That is also, again, I guess, knock on wood. We're not going to have that feeling again for a minimum of 51 years from now. And so that feeling is different. But the other thing, though, that I want to acknowledge that, but I also don't want, and this is where we started the show today with all sorts of big orchestral music and lots of yelling. I really don't want Chiefs fans to be in 1 year to get to a point where an AFC Championship is procedural. This is still a really, really, really difficult thing to do, and there's going to be a result of the game in 2 weeks, but either way, they're going to be AFC champions, and maybe you're a little less hyped about the shirts and the hats than you were last year or that you would have been in years past, but this is still a tremendous accomplishment.
Yeah, and and allow me to put on my non-journalist hat for a moment. And hey, you know what? I grew up a Chiefs fan. And, when I walk away from the Chiefs beat, I will consider myself a Chiefs fan again. Right now, I try not to consider myself a Chiefs fan because it's my job to cover them, to be objective, to ask tough questions. And that's just as a sports writer, that's kind of the ethics and ethos of my profession. So I try to do that. But hey, I remember, I grew up watching this team when it was terrible in the 80s. And so when Marty showed up, the first time anything happened, it was pretty cool. So the first time that, they made the playoffs was a big deal. Let's buy some playoff T-shirts. I have an AFC West champions coat, winter coat, because winning the division was a really cool deal.
Yeah.
And you know what? I mean, 5 years ago, winning the division title for the Chiefs was really cool. I mean, they were selling hats, they were selling T-shirts.
Yep.
And now you can get AFC West T-shirts and hats, $5 a couple of weeks later because nobody's buying those things. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Hey, winning the AFC West, I mean, if the Chiefs win the AFC going forward as many times as we think that they might, complacency is bound to kick in. It's going to. But I agree. I'm with you that it should always still be special because it doesn't happen all the time. And you know what? When Patrick Mahomes is gone, you could go 50 more years, the rest of your life, without seeing another AFC title.
Two other things there. One is that I would like to add my favorite piece of merch. In fact, I wrote about I don't remember if it was just the beginning of a story that I wrote for The Athletic last year. I don't remember, but I remember pointing out specifically that with how weird all of this had felt, that my favorite piece of sort of sad merch that I think may have gone to fittingly now the Tampa area with my family whenever they move, because I do not know where this hat is. I have a AFC West Divisional Championship hat signed by Matt Castle.
Ooh,
that is my artifact of a bygone era. It really is. And so for me, I think about that hat whenever I need to kind of appreciate how far this franchise has come. But the other thing is that this is something that I would be genuinely curious to talk to some people in New England about, or even just some Patriots fans or whatever, because they're the closest at this point to having the experiences that we're talking about. If the only time that you can find joy in a football victory is if it happens in February, you are going to live a very sad football life. Like, I think that even, for a day, for that night, I think Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and everybody enjoys any win that they have. I think they were dancing on the field when they were beating the Jets. That's okay. You can do that and then get back at it on Monday. The AFC West Championship, you can enjoy that and then get back at it on Monday. Certainly, we can get one day of celebration for a conference championship and to clinch another trip to a Super Bowl. Because, again, that's so hard to do, and also doing it back-to-back years is incredibly difficult. I hope there is space for all of that nuance for people, and for people to just enjoy it, because on some level also, it's like, the team representing your city at the very least, or your fan base or whatever, your family, and for lots of people, obviously, is doing an excellent thing for another year. Like that's, I hope people can enjoy that.
Yeah, and you know what? I've pondered this because I wonder, as we expect that the Chiefs are going to be a dynasty for a while and they're going to win. I mean, we think that's going to happen because of Mahomes, and I wonder, going forward, what will be the perception nationally of the Chiefs and Mahomes? Because, with winning comes bandwagon fans and sometimes, permanent fans. I mean, I became a Lakers fan in the 80s because the Lakers were winning.
Sure.
And, the Kings left Kansas City, so there was no local team in Missouri.
Right.
So, hey, who's winning? I'll jump on the Lakers bandwagon. So
sure.
I'd still consider myself a Lakers fan. I mean, even though I don't follow them religiously or have any gear or anything,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would still, generally root for the Lakers over whoever else is playing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be fans like that to jump on, just like there's people who became Bulls fans that weren't in Chicago or Illinois or anywhere near there. Became Bulls fans because they were Jordan and because they were winning. There's going to be that amount. And then you see the pushback that teams like the Patriots get that also become the most hated teams.
Yep.
The Celtics, Lakers, Patriots, Yankees. I mean, these all become hated teams. And, I remember, back in the day, it was pretty routine that when you took a poll for who's the favorite team in baseball, the Yankees would win. And it was who's the least favorite team in baseball, and the Yankees would win that too.
Yep.
I'm curious about the Chiefs, though, because Mahomes is different.
Mm.
And he's not Tom Brady,
Mm-hmm.
which, Tom Brady's a robot.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have the personality. He doesn't have the charm and the charisma that Mahomes does. Even on the field, I mean, Mahomes does things differently.
Yeah.
I just wonder if that's going to change people. That maybe more people will like this team outside of Kansas City, and maybe they won't generate the hatred because they just have a team that, at least right now, is pretty likable.
Yeah, now the way these two teams got constructed will make this not a good comp anymore. But he's way more Steph Curry than Derek Jeter or Tom Brady or whoever you would make as the face of any of those teams that you mentioned. Because the Steph Curry thing is just that you could watch him and understand that it was different. Like, for all of the outrageous greatness of LeBron, who I will not denigrate in any way whatsoever, LeBron looks like the greatest basketball player that I've personally ever watched. Please, no one tweet me about. I didn't watch a whole lot of Michael Jordan. It's fine, but Steph Curry was just playing the sport in a way that changed it forever, and it was appointment television. Even if you weren't rooting for him, that's what Patrick Mahomes feels like, and I imagine he's going to be that for a ton of people, like you said.
Yeah, and last season, it's funny you mentioned Steph Curry because last season, I mean, when I was on the road, back when we could travel with teams and do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Routinely at some point, a Lyft driver, or shuttle bus driver, somebody at a hotel would ask, what you're doing in town, who you are. And what I say is, here, cover the game. And I'm pretty sure it was in Oakland at the beginning of the season. And I had somebody say, oh man, that Mahomes, you know what? I was trying to tell my wife about him. I told her, he's the Steph Curry of football.
Yeah.
And
so
you know
good.
what? I heard that same comparison from people in Chicago and Boston later in the season. I mean, people do. I think there's a legitimate comparison there because of the way that they play, and the fact that they win.
I hope that and there's the little stuff from Steph Curry every once in a while. Mahomes has his moments of public pettiness and everything, and that's all fun, and I'm here for all of it. But I just hope, more than anything, I hope people here appreciate all of that. There is also a billion things that we haven't even gotten to from the actual game itself last night that I don't even think you and I talked about whenever we talked on post-game, that I still think is so interesting, especially looking back on it. I want to give you this stat that I imagine you've seen at this point, but I'm going to talk about it as much as I am humanly allowed to, legally allowed to. It's a stat from Josh Dubow, I hope, from the Associated Press. He tweeted, Patrick Mahomes has had 63 full non-kneel-down drives in his postseason career. The Chiefs have averaged 3.75 points per drive on those possessions. That stat is mind-boggling. Because the one way you can think about it is, on average, if you kick a field goal against Patrick Mahomes' team, you have essentially lost yourself 3/4 of a point on that drive compared to his next one, just because that's what he's on pace to score all the time. That's incredible, and it really, I think, speaks to the fact, I suppose, that there is something different happening in this offense in the postseason and in crunch time.
Yeah, and and I think that, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Chiefs have generally the last few seasons scored between 2.5 to 2.75 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 2018, I'm sure, was a lot higher than that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was. You say 3.75?
3.75 points per drive in the postseason.
That's absolutely redonkulous.
It's redonkulous.
That's just crazy. It does speak to a little bit of how can you afford to kick field goals against the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Don't you just have to try and score touchdowns whenever you can?
And there were so many times last night when we were, yelling at the screen, asking Sean McDermott what exactly he thinks this is going to lead him to. But the one thing that I wish I had a real answer for, so if you've got anything, I'll take it, is we had these varying conversations about how the Chiefs offense hasn't played their best game for 4 quarters at any point. It looks really good at the start, the first half against the Browns, but then obviously Mahomes goes down in the second half. But there have just been kind of these fluctuating, I never got real hung up on one possession games, but there are kind of these fluctuating expectations just for how much the offense is going to keep their foot on the gas or push the envelope or whatever. And man, they were out there actually putting the Bills in the rearview mirror to such an extent that they got a super lucky onside kick that they went and scored on, and then all of that, and it still ended up being a 2-possession game. All of that to say, do you have a working theory for Chiefs postseason offense versus Chiefs regular season offense, and the fact that it does seem like they've shifted into a higher gear in the postseason?
I don't. I have some theories, and I don't know that any of them make any sense. I think that the most logical common one is that, to a degree, the Chiefs can flip the switch.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that there's a difference in the play calling,
Mm-hmm.
and Andy Reid will tell you that he's trying to win every single game, and that he doesn't hold anything back. But the reality is that, yeah, sure he does.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think that people truly underrate Andy Reid's, and this is what I've told you this before and everything. I think Andy Reid is almost just a conductor. He is composing a symphony, as a season, because I think a lot of coaches look at just each individual game and are like, how can I win this game? And Andy Reid looks at his offense as like, okay, how can I build this offense so that by the end of the season, in the postseason, we're playing our best football and we're doing stuff that people don't know is coming.
Yeah.
And the way you do that is you build it through the year. What happens in week 3 impacts what happens in week 14 and impacts what happens in the divisional round. You don't empty out the playbook. You don't show your best stuff, but maybe you just show enough leg to tease people, to tease defensive coordinators and defenses, so that when you do show them your best stuff, they're not ready for it, or they're completely confused. And I think we saw that last night. That touchdown to Kelsey on those mesh routes with him and Hill in the misdirection. Could you run that and score a touchdown in week 7? Sure. But why not save it till you need it? Why not save it until the postseason? And if he ran it yesterday, something tells me that, if he needs it, there's a variation of that he hasn't shown us that he can run again in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He can do things because, and he's absolutely, we know the fact that he will run something earlier in the season just for the pure idea of being able to show that exact same look, exact same formation, make a team think that they know exactly what's coming, and then the ball goes somewhere else entirely. And I don't know that there's a whole lot of other coaches in the NFL that can think that way.
Well, no, and so I'll give you, here's another stat that I was going to bring up later, but I'll bring it up now. I don't care. I'm crazy. Next Gen Stats tweeted out after the game. The Chiefs' offense used shift or motion on 82% of their offensive plays against the Bills. It's their highest rate in a game this season and 5th highest by any offense. They averaged 66% of plays with shift or motion this year, which is 3rd in the NFL. So they are, and that was also, by the way, with shift or motion, they averaged 8 yards per play and they scored 4 touchdowns as opposed to 4.6 yards per play and 1 touchdown whenever they were not using motion.
Yeah, I mean, Andy Reid's a maestro when it comes to motion.
Yeah.
And just how you use it. I mean, he is all about, being able to move pieces around so that it creates confusion for the defense so they don't know exactly what's happening, or you show them a look that they think that then they know, and then all of a sudden guys start moving around. And, and they're also able to do that because motion does require some energy. And they got a guy, especially like Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman, that they can run around a lot, and it's not going to affect their play. I mean, we know that. I mean, Tyreek Hill puts on like more mileage than almost anybody in the NFL, and just as far as running before, during, and after plays. And not every guy can do that. So he's got some guys that can do it, but then once again, I mean, I think it just goes back to the complexity of the offense, the complexity of the quarterback who can process it and handle it, the way that they coach these guys up. I'm just not sure that there's a whole lot of offensive coordinators in the NFL that are just on Andy Reid level.
Yeah. You've mentioned Hardman a couple times now, and there was the clip a few hours ago that Inside the NFL tweeted out that you had retweeted of Mahomes and Kelsey talking to Hardman after the muffed punt and everything. What did you can set up whatever details of that you thought were important, but what did you think when you watched that? The little, again, kind of a mic'd up of those two guys talking to Hardman after he made a play that, I mean, was an awful way to start a game, and then ended up scoring a touchdown and having a 50-yard run later.
Yeah, the first thing I thought was just the chasm between the description of what Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes told us last night when they talked to Hardman versus when you actually see it. Because, I mean, hey, you're at a podium and you're asked what you said. I mean, players don't often tell us exactly what they said to each other, and they do it in a pretty dry sense. So getting to see what Mahomes and Kelce said that they said to Hardman, and then seeing the reality of it and the emotion and actually what they said, I thought was really interesting. I thought it was also, the fact that those two guys did that and said that in the way that they coached to him and the way that they preached to him, I thought it's interesting because I think that there's and maybe it's different a little bit more in football, but we've also seen it. There's a lot of times that happens to a guy, and everybody at the sideline or the bench just ignores him.
Yeah,
you make a boneheaded play, and your teammates just want nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe somebody will pat you on the back of the head or something. But you don't always see that, and we got to see last night. We got to see McCole Hardman hiding under the covers. I mean, they showed that on TV.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to see what we saw today. That clip, of Kelsey and Mahomes coming over and doing what they could to keep his head in the game. But the other part of it too, to me, that doesn't have anything to do with those two guys, but has to do with Andy Reid, is that. You know what? If he thinks that you've got talent, he thinks that you can make plays, he's not going to put you in the doghouse. He's going to do what he thinks he needs to get you out of that funk. And he also coaches his players to do that. I mean, that's why he loves those guys, Kelsey and Mahomes, because they'll help him do that. And he even said yesterday, he didn't really feel like he needed to go over there and say anything to McCole Hardman because, you know what? The other players were going to take care of it. Dave Tope's going to take care of it. He just knew that he needed to give Hardman another chance because he knew if he gave it to him, he'd take advantage of it.
Yeah. It's such a good, if anyone hasn't seen the video, it's like a minute long, and sometimes, to be terribly honest, sometimes I think little moments like that get overanalyzed or get overplayed, or any bit of sort of sideline mic'd up access like that, we want to eat up because we get it so rarely. But this is a really good look into what actually happened there. And like you said, Matt, not just what we got kind of, told that they said at the podium. And and it mattered. I mean, McCole Hardman made impacts in this game. There might have been a couple of those plays that you could have tried to set up for Byron Pringle, but that one that was technically a run, a little toss behind Mahomes, that's a McCole Hardman play. I mean, and he took extreme advantage of it there, which is just really fascinating. So obviously, it's a great clip. One other thing here, Matt, did you know that you have successfully now passed 20,000 Twitter followers?
Yay! I couldn't have done it without you, Josh.
Oh, hold on. We have a special way of celebrating things around here. Another dud, though, believe it or not. That is a party popper that burnt my hand a bit because all of the gunpowder sort of bits came out where I was holding it, and the top did not pop, which seems fitting, I think, for celebrating a Twitter milestone.
Yeah, I think that's actually more than appropriate for that. So
yeah, I do. Well, that's a bit of a disappointment. I'm gonna take the confetti out of here and hang it on the microphone anyway. We'll try again at 25. Less exciting news. Andy Reid did confirm today it's a torn Achilles for Eric Fisher. That was the assumption, so that wasn't stunning, but is noteworthy. I don't want to get all the way into the Buccaneers preview. We'll talk again next week. But what has he meant for this offense, especially with the offensive line going through as many ridiculous changes this year as we talked about yesterday?
Yeah, it's one thing that you don't have to worry about. I mean, if you're Andy Heck and you're Andy Reid, you don't have to worry about Eric Fisher. And as much grief as that man has taken over the years in Kansas City, he's a Pro Bowler. I mean, left tackle is one of the most difficult positions to play in the league, and I think it's even more difficult because, the left tackle doesn't usually get a lot of credit for the things they do right, but they get all the blame for things that they do wrong. And the reality of it is that Eric Fisher has been doing just about everything right over the last few years. I mean, we talked about the stats last night. I mean, he makes a difference, and especially in this year, when they've had so many injuries, I mean, that's been the rock. They've been able to just say, you know what, Fish, we're going to leave you on your own. We're not going to give you any help. We're not going to lean things your way. If you're up against a stud edge rusher, you're going to handle it. I mean, that's really been kind of the philosophy. I mean, that they've had to because they've had to be able to put their resources elsewhere. And, and quarterbacks get to know their offensive linemen too. And that's a big deal as well. And I mean, I've talked with Patrick Mahomes about that in the past. And just, you get to know your tackles. You get to know because, for him, that's his blind side. So he doesn't always see where Eric Fisher is or know what's going on. But he knows enough about him and there's enough chemistry there that he understands what Fisher's going to be doing behind his back. And that's a big part of being able to do some of the things that Mahomes does in the pocket is just knowing and trusting, one, that Fisher's going to be doing his job, and two, knowing how he's going to do that job so he can feel a little bit about where the pressure may be coming or where he needs to move, all of that kind of thing. So to lose that experience, to lose that institutional depth there, it's a big deal. Not that they can't overcome it, but it's a big deal. And I just feel bad for Fish because, like I said, he has put up with a lot. And that dude's worked hard. I mean, and he's played through a lot. He's played through injuries. I mean, he's tried to play through injuries and then, couldn't do it because it was just too much. But he's given his heart and soul to that team. So that was pretty emotional last night, seeing the guys reacting to him going down.
Yeah. For more on that, you can check it out at ChiefsDigest.com. Matt's got an article up there about Fisher and a handful of things. Twitter is a great way to see all the links, but you can go straight to ChiefsDigest.com to grab that if you'd like. One other thing here, maybe the most important, is that I need you to explain to me something that you mentioned to me earlier when you texted me about a show called Would I Lie to You? On BBC. I was going to Google it, and then I decided, you know what, I want you to explain it to me, and then I'll figure out how we proceed here.
I mean, it's not an original premise, but it's done very, very well. So Would I Lie to You, there's two teams of three panelists. In this case, they're generally all celebrities and comedians and things of this nature, people who are funny and engaging. And then they read a card that they have not seen before, but it may be a truth or a lie about themselves. and then the other team quizzes them to try and find out if it's true or a lie. And it is just, I thought of you because this seems like the game designed for you and I.
Yes. Yes, and you know what? I have now Googled it, and I have the vaguest recollection of watching, like, YouTube cuts of this years ago.
Possible. It's been around for like 14 years.
Yeah.
I had no idea until my wife, started showing it to me a few weeks ago, and now I'm absolutely addicted to it.
Yeah, I guess David Mitchell is very familiar to me for some reason. I'm also now remembering 8 out of 10 cats, 9 out of... There's another British show that's something about cats that I don't really remember the content. I think it's a trivia. I don't know. I vaguely remember watching some of these on YouTube, though. Do you have a, like a true or lie statement that you would like to test on us here? And I'll see if I can come up with one.
Oh, gosh, yeah, I know I've told you a few of my craziest stories.
Trying to think. Rudy, do you want to try to lie to Matt or tell a story about yourself that you maybe haven't told on the radio before? I need to cook up something myself here.
So am I telling a story that could be true, could be a lie?
I would say ideally, it's something that either is either something based on a true story that actually is not the case, or something that actually happened to you that might leave us surprised.
Okay. When I was in high school, I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Oh man, that seems like that has to be true somehow. It's too weird to not be.
Well, why were you on the cover of Sports Illustrated?
Okay, do we get follow-up questions?
Oh yeah, you get to ask questions and probe.
Oh boy, okay, let's probe.
Oh, I thought it was just like a two truths and a lie.
Oh, you have to answer questions.
Okay.
About it.
I was at an event that took place that had me in the background.
That's what I would have expected. That's where I would have gone with it. That seems plausible still.
Yes. Usually it's a little bit better.
Yeah, I didn't realize the questioning.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but like I could have, said, hey, I once wrestled an alligator.
Okay, so is that yours?
I will say that. Josh, I once wrestled an alligator.
When did this happen? When in your life?
Let's see. It would have been after college, so late 90s.
Why did that happen, though? What led to this event occurring?
Well, you're in college.
Right.
After college, you're in your 20s. You're in Florida. Things happen.
Sure.
And there's alligators, so why wouldn't you?
Was this a wild alligator?
No, they're trained for this. They're there's where it happened was like kind of like you think a Joe Exotic kind of park.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Rudy has a question.
Now, was this an actual alligator or like a man in an alligator costume?
This was an actual alligator.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna give one here, and then we can all guess what our final answers are for everyone's stories. I've got a couple of options that I'm trying to decide. I'll go.
These kind of games also are my worst games. I'm bad at the two truths and a lie kind of lie thing.
I really love these types of games. I have a profane pair of socks. I'll take your questions.
I don't know if I need any questions. I'm pretty sure it's true.
It's not fun if you don't ask questions, Matt.
Wait a minute. Did you decide whether or not I wrestled the alligator?
No, we didn't. We also didn't give Rudy his answer. I figured we would give all of our guesses at the end.
Rudy was clearly in the stands at a basketball game or something, and along with 25,000 people who were on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
I agree. Is that not true?
I know. I mean,
I think you're in some bleachers in a year that Wichita State had a cover or something, or a Kentucky cover.
Incorrect.
Okay, so were you not on the cover of Sports Illustrated?
I was.
Okay.
I was in the stands when KU football was on the cover.
Wow.
There's like 100 of us in the background, and you can see me clear as day.
All right, very good. Do we think that Matt wrestled an alligator in the 90s?
100%.
I want to believe it more than anything, so I'm going to also say that it's true.
And in keeping with the format of what I lied to you, I will say I was telling a lie.
No!
Not in my mind.
I wanted to believe it so badly.
In my world, he wrestled an alligator.
I was gifted a pair of socks that have a couple of curse words on them. I feel like
that just fits you too much.
It was telegraphed. I wear them on special occasions. I wore them when I graduated, and
when you're really angry.
No, they really are they're my little secret story to myself. They were a gift from girlfriend Renee.
Do they say bleep yeah?
No, it's once they say they have two. I don't think I've ever revealed this anywhere. So at the very least, you're getting a good truth out of me. They both of them say this. They've got kind of a funny print, and then one side it says "take no bleep," and the other side says "give no bleeps."
So you wear them like at a big job interview or something. You're just like,
it's a good vibe.
Yeah,
probably.
Here we go.
There's a legitimate chance that I wore them first day here or something. Or
showed Ben your first day as an intern. Like, hey,
yeah,
Ben,
hey Ben, I'm the cool intern.
Don't mess with me.
My socks say curse words on them. Yeah, I definitely wore them when I graduated, 100%. Graduating Mid-American Nazarene University, I went across that stage. I shook the hand of the president, who I have several disagreements with, and I was wearing socks that say "give no bleeps, take no bleep."
If he would have known, they would have ripped your degree right out of your hands.
100%. That's one of the reasons I don't think I could ever share that story until now, is I would have lost my degree. Matt, I'm going to prepare for this next time. I'm going to come up with a better one. Rudy's going to come up with another one. You're going to come up with another one. I think you're the only one that won that this time.
Yeah, Matt's was good.
Yours was very good, though.
I didn't even get I had a whole spiel. I was going to talk about the safety, how they taped the alligator's mouth shut, and so it wouldn't bite you and everything. But I was prepared to go to the wall on that lie.
Yeah, you got us early on. I just wanted to believe it so badly. We will do better next time, and we will also have better questions next time. We will refresh ourselves on the premise of what I lied to you, and next time we're gonna get at least a couple. I guess, should we have some procedurally generated ones in the spirit of the game?
That would be. I mean, considering that you're not supposed to know what's on the card.
No. Ooh.
So we really almost need a neutral party to come up with some questions for us.
So let's hopefully Beard is on the COVID /reserve list at the moment. Who do you think would be worse at this between Rudy and Beards? I feel like Beards has so many mysteries, but I feel like he would be bad at lying. One of us will be the designated writer, and we'll figure it out.
You would ask Beards, and I think he would just be like, I don't know.
That's true. That's true. All right, Beards, when did you wrestle an alligator? I don't know. I don't know.
He's kind of a wall when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah. Beards is less of a yes and guy and more of an I don't know, maybe guy.
Yeah.
Which isn't as good for him.
Probably.
Probably, maybe. I'll probably, maybe did the thing. All right, well, this is very good. I feel like not only did we have a good conversation here tonight, Matt, we also have our next one planned out, and I look forward to it even more so than I always look forward to talking to you, which seems borderline impossible.
It's the highlight of my week, Josh. Always is.
Just then, I was telling a lie. And so were you, actually. Ouch. You were telling the bigger lie, the highlight of your week. Get better weeks. Watch more BBC comedies.
It's a bye week, Josh. Come on.
That's true. It's a bye week means it's a week for binge watching BBC on YouTube, which is perfect. Thank you, Matt.
Exactly. Thanks, guys.
I like talking to Matt, and that's the truth. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Derrick, and check out Chiefs Digest, and apparently watch What I Lie to You from BBC, and give us some. Maybe we crowdsource it. Maybe we say, hey, Twitter, give us some lie suggestions next week, and we'll see where it leads us. And maybe we'll forget before that day actually gets back around again. That's probably what's going to happen. But we can pretend. That's what lying is, just pretending. We'll remember to do this again next week. That was a lie.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
Honey, what should we do for dinner tonight?
I don't know. What do you want to do? I want to support somewhere local.
Have you heard?
Heard what?
Red Door Wood-Fired Grill has $5 classic burgers on Monday, and my buddy from work told me on Thursday they have the best jalapeno marinated fried chicken in all of Kansas City.
Get in.
Whether it be a juicy burger or chicken fried to perfection, there's something for everyone at Kansas City's favorite little upscale neighborhood joint, Red Door Wood-Fired Grill. What are you waiting for, KC? Get in here.
Hi, I'm Fred Ramsey.
And I'm Mark Tobin. Hey, folks, if you're not busy Saturday mornings from 6 to 7 a.m., well, I hope you'll join us for the Midwest Outdoors, brought to you by Reed Chevrolet St. Joe.
Join us and our expert guests, and we'll be talking about hunting and fishing, dog training. We'll give you tips, pass along stories, and most important, share some laughs along the way.
That's right. We cover it all, from crappie to waterfowl, and we'll tell you how to cook it, too.
The Midwest Outdoors, brought to you by Reed Chevrolet, Saturday morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
This is your moment to take the path less traveled, to break the status quo, to stop talking about the problem and be the solution. This is your moment to shape the future. This is your moment to be the greater good. Join America.
Sponsored by the Missouri Community Service Commission and the Corporation for National and Community Service.
Hey sports fans, Joni here, and I'm excited to tell you about the newly opened In the Zone Cryo. In the Zone Cryo will help decrease pain and inflammation, accelerate muscle recovery, increase your energy, and boost your immune system. In the Zone Cryo also offers Instasculpt fat reduction, personal training, infrared heat, compression therapy, and more. Mention Sports Radio 810 and receive 10% off your first service. Come see us at College and Metcalf. Call 913-208-4859 or visit inthezonecryo.com. Feel, look, and perform your best with In the Zone Cryo.
Congratulations, Kansas City, conference champions. Get to Dick's Sporting Goods to continue the celebration and gear up with officially licensed Chiefs t-shirts, hats, and hoodies. Beat the rush and shop our huge selection for the entire family. We have everything you need to show off your team pride. Come early for the best selection or shop online at Dicks.com with free shipping on championship products. Every season starts at Dick's.
If we learned anything in 2020, it's that life is unpredictable. There are some things that you just can't control. All the more reason why you need to appreciate and hold tight those special people in your life. That relationship you know you can count on no matter what. At Diamonds Direct, your love is our passion. Your relationship is why we exist, and we stand ready to help you create those memorable moments in 2021 that celebrate and solidify those unbreakable bonds. Our selection of precious rare diamonds has never been greater. From a simple 1-carat princess cut to a breathtaking 10-carat round brilliant, we have your perfect diamond in stock every day at the guaranteed best value price in America. And even in unpredictable times, Diamonds Direct's commitment to you will never waver. We promise the largest selection, the highest quality, the best value, the strongest warranties, and the most unforgettable experience. So as life gets back to normal this new year, remember, cling to the ones you adore by showing them how much they mean to you. And we'll always be here to help. Diamonds Direct.
At 119th and Row.
As stressful as moving can be, the best thing is eliminating as much of it as you can. That's where Let's Get Moving came in for us. Hey everyone, Jason Anderson here, and when we knew we were officially making the move, the only choice was the highest rated local moving company in Kansas City. Local guys that started the company to make the moving experience more personally designed for you. Let's Get Moving is a full service company. Local moves, long distance moves, residential and commercial. When you want to make the move smooth and stress free, Let's Get Moving is the company. Check them out at letsgetmovingllc.com.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
I mean, had to be California, right?
It's got to be California, right?
Right, yeah.
With Joshua Brisco.
God, it's Alaska. Damn it.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I'm very much enjoying doing radio during the NFL season, especially these last couple of weeks because we've got more shows. The Chiefs are still playing. It's great. But that liner was from a segment probably from the dog days of summer where we were just doing trivia and being dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we were being intentionally dumb.
That's what the hour was called, I believe.
That we are dumb people that don't know things. And I can't, this is something that shouldn't bother me. It doesn't bother me, but it's something that I think about sometimes. Like, you know, basically any gathering, remember gatherings? God forbid, like a trivia night or something. I basically remember, I think I've done an actual trivia night like once, and it was at the aforementioned Mid-America Nazarene University, home of my profane socks. where there's like, there's a sports question and everyone just looks at me, Hey, Jeopardy. Oh, hey, here's the question from Jeopardy. Who did Mike Tyson beat? And I don't know, man. I don't know. Some of those I just don't know. Some of them I will. Many of them I won't. And I'm going to feel stupider for not being better. I'm not good at Stump the Chumps. Basically is what this ends up being. If we end up having some sort of like 8-10 sports trivia competition, almost entirely sports is going to end up with almost entirely no points. Unless we end up having a conversation.
Entirely last place.
That's exactly right. Unless we end up having a larger conversation about something like the value of running backs or whatever. Conversations I'm totally confident in myself in. Actually delivering points, totally confident in myself. Who led the league in rushing in 1990? I don't know.
We're winning debate club, losing at trivia club.
Boy, that's a great point. Absolutely. That's absolutely right. Make me your number one overall pick for the debate team, and I will not let you down on basically any topic. I'm ready for that heat. If you go, sports trivia, let's get Josh and Rudy to help. No, you're gonna do bad. And really, most trivia that's true for. I don't know why. I'm really dumb at geography. I don't know where anything is. Ask me to find, the ocean on the map, and I'll point at Georgia.
What's an ocean?
That's the big blue part. Except for those tricky maps where the countries are different colors, and you have blue states and stuff, not water. It's just like, on a globe sometimes the countries or the states will be different colors, so you can tell them apart without looking at the border.
So what state's the Pacific?
So that's the Pac-12. So there are 12 states that are Pacific. Then they added 2 more a while ago. No, it's called the Pac-12, but aren't there more than 12 states in it?
14, I think.
There's 14 states in the Pacific.
I believe so, yes. Alaska.
And then you've got the big 12
New
states,
York.
which are the 12 largest states, but it's actually only 10 of the largest states because it's both Dakotas.
Yeah.
And it's really one big state now. I think they changed that.
I mean, both Dakotas and Montana, it's the same thing. It's all one.
It's all the
a large
same
area mass.
Yeah. That's the Mountain West. The Big East is confusing because there's not a number there. You've got the National League and the American League, states. I don't know. I've lost the plot on this. I would like to talk more about some of my favorite stats from this weekend. Nothing to do with geography, thankfully, but some numbers that I think you should know that I mentioned when Matt Derrick was on with us. But this will also indicate, so this will be a good warm-up for talking to Ethan Douglas here in about 10 minutes or so. Does all sorts of great analytics work with the Athletic, and it's just a generally smart, interesting person to talk to. But the stat I mentioned earlier is that in Patrick Mahomes' 63 full non-kneel-down drives in his postseason career, the Chiefs have averaged 3.75 points per drive on those possessions. Which might be the simplest, easiest way to explain to people why taking field goals against the Chiefs is not going to get it done. It's just not going to happen. Because in 2 drives, the Chiefs are averaging a touchdown and a half. Not a touch, 7.5 points. Not a touchdown and a half, but 7.5 points. If you kick a field goal, if you get within field goal range and you take that field goal and you hit that field goal, every single time against Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs, based on the average of the 63 drives that he has had in the postseason in his career, you will lose scoring 3 points on every single drive, which is not a bad watermark. And then you can obviously get way more specific to the situations. We all can see it happening. from the very beginning, and then certainly on 4th and goal from the 2. We all had to be making the same face whenever we saw the Bills again trotting the field goal team out there.
Smiling, right?
Yes, that was the face we were making, was laughing, throwing our heads back and cackling laughter.
I was happy.
I was frustrated at the team I was rooting against. Not because it was hurting the team I was rooting for, but because it was so foolish. And at this point, it's just malpractice. Because it's obvious. You cannot beat the Chiefs 3 points at a time. Each possession is so valuable. You've got to score touchdowns, plural, and you've got to score them, and you've got to go for them and take those risks. Because, look, the conventional wisdom is typically, it devolves to saying, you can't go for it here on 4th and 2 or 4th and goal from the 2, because if you go for it and you don't get it, how demoralizing is that going to be? How demoralizing is it to get to the 2 bleeping yard line, score 3 points, and then before you know it, the Chiefs have just put you in a 4-point deficit exchanging there because they went and scored a touchdown?
Feel pretty good.
You feel pretty good
Spot
as the
the
Chiefs. And that right, if you're the opposing team, you were telling a lie.
One of the things that's so crazy,
it's
with yesterday, and this also even applies to the Packers game, where the Packers and the Bills have been two of the better teams on 4th down decision making, and like two of the more aggressive teams. And you saw both of their coaches just basically get into the fetal position in the corner, just like no.
This was. I did an episode of Time Czars this morning with Nate Taylor and Seth Kaiser, and we'll talk to Seth Kaiser here about this in much more depth tomorrow. But Seth, I think it was Seth who mentioned this, that said that, it was almost like McDermott saw that the Bills' offense was not able to do what it thought it was going to be able to do, and he got nervous. And he went into his shell a little bit. And even in some of his post-game press conference comments that we played here on Sports Radio 810 last night, he sounded like someone who was afraid to make a mistake that would put the Bills in a deficit, either literal or figurative. But because he was afraid of ending up in some form of deficit, he was putting the Bills in a deficit. It's crazy. Like it is getting imaginary numbers in there. The first time you have start putting letters in your algebra. You go, wait a second, what are we doing here? You are moving on to the next level of sports math. But whenever you play the Chiefs, 3 points are not 3 points. 3 points are, in most cases, a drive when you could have scored 4 more points than you did. At this point, that should be clear, but we may just be behind the curve right now in terms of NFL coaches being able and willing to think about this in the way that they need to be. They need to catch up. And so far, they have not.
It was also 2 younger coaches, which is surprising, right?
Yeah.
Like you expect to get maybe some of the older coaches, like
and guys like you said have been aggressive.
Yeah, you're not shocked when Pete Carroll makes that decision because, that's kind of Pete Carroll's MO. It's the reason why he wants to go get an OC who will run the football more.
Yeah.
But especially like when you have like Matt LaFleur and Sean McDermott, who have been doing it for a couple years now, and who are younger and in theory are more willing to play aggressive, and they just. And also, mind you, it's like Ben Baldwin was talking about this, 4th down models, when to go, when not to go. You have to remember, those are based off the average NFL offense.
Yep.
The Bills and the Packers don't have the average NFL offense. They have good NFL offenses. So whatever that number, so even if you're because I think the Packers, the field goal they kicked, it was technically 52% of the time you should kick the field goal. But again, that's if you have the Raiders offense.
Yeah.
You have Aaron Rodgers. You have Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen.
And you're not going up against your average NFL offense or your average NFL team. You're going up against an opposing offense that you simply must score against, and you must score constantly. Every possession that does not end, not in points, but in a touchdown or in points that are increasing your lead or decreasing your deficit. If you are not scoring touchdowns, you are losing ground against the Chiefs. This is breaking a little bit my not promise but goal, I suppose, to not get all the way into Buccaneers previewing right now. But it does seem like the Bucs both understand. They're not afraid of who their quarterback is, which is how the Bills played yesterday. They were afraid of their quarterback. And they are respecting of what the Chiefs offense is going to do in terms of challenging them and setting that tone and setting that pace of 3.75 points per possession. So maybe they will actually be the good team who is that level of aggressive. The Panthers were the closest we've seen against the Chiefs, really, in terms of pushing that envelope this year. And it got relatively close to working. At the very least, it was a damn fine effort.
There was just too big of a talent gap.
That's right. And for Tampa, the Chiefs have the talent advantage. But it's not the advantage they had over Carolina. So if the Buccaneers are going to pull off the upset in the Super Bowl, it's going to come with some of that aggressiveness. We'll talk more about that in the weeks to come, as we will have 2 full weeks to get ready for that game, and we'll cover that from every possible angle. In the meantime, though, I want to look back again at this weekend, both for the Chiefs and the NFC Championship game. We'll do that with Ethan Douglas of The Athletic next.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The Kansas City Comets are back for their 11th season at Cable Dahmer Arena, and so is the energy and excitement of indoor soccer. Comets soccer is fast, furious, high-scoring action for the entire family, and parking is always free at Cable Dahmer Arena. Get your Kansas City Comets tickets today by calling 888-9-COMETS or by visiting Ticketmaster.com. That's 888-9-COMETS or Ticketmaster.com. Aristocrat Motors is starting off the celebration of 2021 with the Mercedes-Benz Certified Pre-Owned event. When you buy a certified Mercedes-Benz, you not only get an unlimited mile warranty, but also for January, you can receive your first 2 payments and interest rates as low as 1.99% on select models. View our largest selection and make your choice. Aristocrat Motors, I-35 and Shawnee Mission Parkway, or online at aristocratmotors.com. Payments only from MBFS. Not all models qualify for rate with approved credit. Ends January 31st, 2021.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm attorney Mike DePasquale. After a car wreck, the last thing you want to do is trust the insurance company. These insurance companies try to rip off good people every single day. My law firm won't let you get ripped off. We'll fight to get you all the money you deserve, and you don't pay us a dime unless we win your case. If you've been hurt, call me. I've got this.
Mike's got this. All you need to know, 816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
The success of Janet's meal prep business is keeping her from keeping up with customer appetites.
Paleo Prep Meals, this is Janet. Yep, you just reheat. But we actually have a wait list currently. Oh, can you hold on one sec?
She needs to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Boulevard believes in easy indulgence. That's why they decided to put Tank 7 in cans. Their distinctly American twist on a classic Belgian-style farmhouse ale takes its name from the notoriously unpredictable fermenter where the signature beer's perfect combination of ingredients first came to life. You could call it fate. Their brewers call it Tank 7. Grab a 4-pack and treat yourself to a Tank 7 today. You deserve it. Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City, Missouri.
Find your style with Patriot Lighting from Menards. We carry a great selection of interior lighting products. Check out the Leaf Island light. Its stylish design will add a modern touch to any kitchen with its satin nickel frame and graphite accents. Just $149.99. The Brooklyn Island light comes with vintage style bulbs and has an industrial feel. Right now it's only $189.99. Save on everything to update your home now at Menards. Price is good through Sunday, January 31st.
Save big money at Menards.
Haven't made Valentine's plans yet? Let the Elms help you spoil that special someone this year. On Saturday the 13th and Sunday the 14th, get a 4-course dinner menu with a glass of champagne for only $60 a person, plus tax and gratuity. Turn the night into a full getaway and book a room and spa appointment too. Reservations are required online at theelmshotelandspa.com or call 816-630-5500. That's 816-630-5500. Located in Excelsior Springs at 401 Regent Street, the Elms Hotel and Spa, a destination hotel.
Sports talk powered by fans. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. The power of sports.
To the Los Angeles Lakers, 13-4 on the season, a perfect 9-0 on the road this year. On the road tonight in Cleveland, they have gone through 3, and the Lakers' perfect winning streak is in jeopardy. They trailed the Cavaliers 89-87. Lakers got off to a quick start. LeBron had 17 in the first 12 minutes of this game. He's got 25 as it stands right now. Cavaliers 89-87 over the Lakers. About to make the turn home for the fourth quarter. Boston closing in on halftime, welcoming Jason Tatum back in the fold. Celtics are in Chicago tonight. Tatum has got 11. Meanwhile, Marcus Smart, he's got 13 for Boston. Celtics lead 54-48. Philadelphia loses in Detroit 119-104. Pistons go to 12-6 on the season. Indiana beats Toronto 129-114. Charlotte a 117-108 win. Orlando a 117-108 win at home against Charlotte. As for Brooklyn, it was a slow night. If you had over 237 trying to hit the over for the 13th consecutive game, that didn't happen for sure. Brooklyn does beat Miami 95, a 98-85. Heat once again playing without Jimmy Butler. Spurs and the Pelicans game, which was set for tonight in New Orleans at Smoothie King Center, it was postponed. The 22nd game postponed this year around the NBA, postponed because of health and safety protocols. ESPN's Andrew Lopez and Adrian Wojnarowski reporting neither team could field the 8 players required in order to have a game, and they were tracking potential coronavirus exposure to non-team members for both parties of the traveling squad.
Tuesday, Chris Collinsworth will be among my guests as we continue to examine the fallout from Championship Sunday and look ahead to the Super Bowl. That's with me, Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN+.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Defense wins championships, run the ball, establish the run, and ground and pound, baby. Wear down defenses.
With Joshua Brisco.
Box scores matter. Hashtag box scores matter. Kirk Cousins is actually good. Put your hand in the dirt.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
That is a deeply incriminating liner that will begin our conversation with Ethan Douglas of The Athletic. He's a data analyst for The Athletic, also a Chiefs fan and specializing in many ways in what the Chiefs are doing, or at least that's the way that I appreciate most of Ethan's work. It's a lot of the stuff that is Chiefs-specific is excellent. It's all great, though. You can check it all out at The Athletic. Again, follow him on Twitter at Ethan C. Douglas. Ethan, you are still on the line despite hearing that liner. Thank you for your patience.
I am. That was great.
I wasn't. I'm ashamed. I think my identity may have been stolen. I don't know. I've got a whole lot of questions for Rudy after this, but we'll talk to you in the meantime. Man, I mean, there were so many things from this weekend, but in both championship games. Obviously, I want to start with some of the Chiefs-related stuff, and there's big picture things to look at forward and backwards. There are some individual decisions that Sean McDermott made over the course of the game that looked foolish at the time, and have only looked more foolish in retrospect in terms of how he decided the Bills were going to try to keep up with the Chiefs. I'm curious, though, I guess if you want to even go to the NFC side, you're welcome to. In terms of all of these interesting data-driven storylines from the championship weekend, what caught your eye as being perhaps the most interesting to you?
I mean, definitely the fourth down decision-making stood out to me. And not necessarily even because the impact of these decisions, but more so because of the fan backlash. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a coach get crucified for not going for it like LaFleur did in the Packers at the end of the game in Green Bay against Tampa Bay. I just don't think I've ever seen that. Normally it's in the opposite direction, where people are getting pissed because the coach was too aggressive. But I think it's rare to have kind of unanimous outcry about a fourth down decision like that.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that's actually like a very optimistic way of looking at things, because you're right. I mean, LaFleur got destroyed, and then even within the Chiefs game, because I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at least one of the Bills' field goals made sort of analytical sense, if you will, and Twitter was not having that because people had gotten to the point of understanding, hey, you know, beating Patrick Mahomes with field goals is a fool's errand. And you need to be more aggressive than that, and maybe even, you know, a click beyond what some of the aggregate stats would be, as our friend Seth Kaiser would refer to them. Seeing Twitter with that bend to it yesterday, you're right. That feels like progress.
Yeah, it does. But it's funny, you know, I was seeing a lot of takes that were upset that coaches weren't being aggressive, but some of those were like far greater in magnitude than the decision actually bared out to have an impact on the game.
Yeah.
So, for instance, you know, the Green Bay decision at the end of the game to go for the field goal instead of going for the fourth down conversion on 4th and 8, that wasn't like that bad of a decision. Like when we look at how much it impacted their chances to win, it really wasn't that big of a deal. And so it's just funny that, you know, people have decided that that's not okay. And I think, again, it was against Tom Brady, just like the Bills were against Patrick Mahomes, which makes people are starting to grasp that, you know, against better offenses, you can't give away possessions like that. But at the same time, it really wasn't that bad of a decision when you look at the numbers.
What do you attribute that to? Like, I mean, you mentioned that people are learning about the quarterbacks that teams are going up against and factoring that in and everything, But how do you digest all of that in terms of that being the way that people did react yesterday?
Well, I think a lot of people follow me on Twitter, obviously. But no, I mean, I do genuinely believe that, like, the analytics community and people continuously talking about analytics has kind of shifted the needle in terms of fan discourse, and that people are a little more comfortable talking about stuff like that now, and everyone's pulling up win probability models and trying to see, you know, how good or bad decisions were. But I honestly think part of it is still just a bit of tribalism, and that the same people that are going to be pounding their fists and really angry at an aggressive decision, like that coach going for it when they shouldn't have, those people might have now just kind of switched sides.
Yeah.
But a lot of them still aren't using data to inform those decisions. They're still kind of using cliches like, well, you can't give Tom Brady the ball to close the game, or you need to trust your offense, not your defense. They're still kind of just using those cliches to make up their mind instead of actually looking at the data and figuring out what the right decision is.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't think that we'll be able to come to big sweeping conclusions right away, but I'll be very interested to see how that evolves over time, because that would be a really interesting evolution. If we go from the, you know, can't chase points cliches to can't give the ball back to Tom Brady cliches. I mean, that'll be interesting to see just where that discourse goes, I guess, in the years to come.
Absolutely, and it'll change the game, because a lot of the reason coaches aren't aggressive is they'll tell you off the record they don't want to lose their jobs or get blasted by the media if it fails.
Yeah.
And if people start doing the opposite and calling for their head if they kick a field goal instead of going for it, we might see a complete reversal and see coaches, quote-unquote, adopt analytics when the reality is they're just still, you know, going to the whim of the casual fan and media.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. All right, I'm down for that. I think that'll be a lot of fun to see how that ends up going, and then also who remains with a similar, I don't know, sweet spot in that. That'll be very interesting. Anyway, With that being said, I do want to talk some specifically about what we saw from the Chiefs and specifically in Chiefs-Bills. And I've referenced this stat now several times from Josh Dubow of the AP, who did the math, and not that this is super advanced, but found the numbers on this, saying that Patrick Mahomes has 63 full non-kneel-down drives in his postseason career. The Chiefs have averaged 3.75 points per drive on those possessions. That is not an advanced series of analytics or anything. It's a number that is stuck in my head since I saw that about 24 hours or so ago. I'm just curious what you think what you do with that information, what you think about what we've seen from the Chiefs offense in the playoffs, and then maybe with a little bit of what we were just talking about, how you expect teams to deal with them in the future, and then maybe even specifically to the Buccaneers in a couple of weeks.
I mean, first thing I do is become a Chiefs fan, because that's a real fun team to watch when they're scoring all the time in January. It's a good question. I think, when we think about field position and like how much field position matters and pinning teams back, if you're against a team like the Chiefs that has just proven over and over again they can move the ball at will in high-pressure situations like the playoffs, field position kind of goes out the window. Like, winning the field position game is irrelevant. It's more about winning the possession battle and just scoring more points. And so, I mean, one, special teams miscues can go in your favor, like the Bills saw early in the game. But then, two, you got to be willing to be aggressive and be risky, because let's say you play, a defense that's more aggressive, more volatile, more likely to give up big plays, but also results maybe in turnovers, like, cover zero, sending heavy pressure. I think that may be the way to go, because, yes, you might get beat, but they're going to beat you anyways. And so you might as well give yourself the greatest chance of getting a turnover, limiting the Chiefs' number of possessions, of useful possessions, by taking the ball away by a turnover, not by time of possession. And, I think that's one thing teams are going to have to consider.
I wonder what it's going to take for that to become something that maybe there's even an overcorrection on, because it seems like that one we are not in particularly close danger of getting to. Because we saw Matt Rule, like I'll refer back to that game as many times as possible. It felt like they were playing that game where it's like, all right, can we steal a possession here? Can we extend our possession here on a more aggressive fourth down, or what can we do to try to tip the scales in our favor, because the actual talent gap here is simply untenable for us to play kind of up and down, straight up and down game. Whenever you do look at the fact that the Chiefs have, against the Browns, they play a very good team. Against the Bills, they play a really good team. They have the Buccaneers next. What's it going to take for those teams to adopt the mindset that you're talking about there?
It's a good question. I think we may see it in the Super Bowl. We'll find out. I mean, Eric Fisher's out, unfortunately, and got injured. And so the Chiefs have a vulnerability now, which they really didn't in the Bills game, and really even the Browns game prior to Mahomes going out. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they really scheme up a lot of pressure and just really test that. I think I saw a stat that there's only one starter on the offensive line going into this game, at least from the beginning of the season.
Yep.
And so I think they'll really test that and see if they can just, bring the pressure. If Mahomes rolls out and beats it and has a deep pass, that's okay. But I don't think they'll do what the Bills did and just sit back and let Mahomes just slice you up for short gain after short gain after short gain.
This is very Super Bowl preview-y in a way that I've tried not to get too deep into today, but I can't fully help myself here, because also you've put this out now. You've been running the expected power rating, the EPR on The Athletic, and again, if you follow Ethan, you can find all of the logic of this and the work that it's been doing and that he's been doing on it all year long. But you did run the Super Bowl through it, and you've got the Chiefs as favorites there. The spread lines up with where Vegas has it. Can you give a little bit of a look into that process, and then how you felt seeing the results there, and then how you think that you ended up at those results?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So basically, we've taken all the way the Chiefs have moved the ball. So on early downs, passing on early downs, running on early downs, on late downs, and special teams. And we've done that for all the teams in the league, and then kind of adjusted their performance based on what aspects of play are more sustainable over time. And we've come to these power ratings of how good a team is. And they've done really well at predicting who's going to win games. And so the Chiefs have been, every single week this season, the strongest team in the NFL. And it didn't matter that, they were quote-unquote coasting. It didn't matter that Chad Henne played in Week 17, although we did, downweight that week quite a bit. But in general, they've been, throughout the entire season, the number one team in the NFL, whereas the Bucs haven't been. I mean, the Bucs, for a while, were barely above mediocre. It took Tom Brady a long time to start getting some efficiency out of that passing offense. And so now the Bucs are considered like the third or fourth best team in the NFL. They're actually not considered better than the Packers, which I think would probably bother a lot of people, considering the Packers just lost to them. But just when we look at the performance over the season in the playoffs, they're not as good as the Packers, although it is very close. And so basically, the Chiefs are about 3.5 points better than the Buccaneers, and we'll see if that plays out. But it's interesting, when we model it, we typically account for home field advantage. So we figure out, okay, which team is playing at home, and they get a little bit of boost. And so it's been an interesting decision here with the Super Bowl of how do we model that? Do we give Tampa Bay like a home field advantage? And if we do we give them like a full home field advantage, or like a 2020 COVID home field advantage, or none at all? So that's been a really interesting decision. Yeah. And right now I'm not really considering it a home field advantage, but we'll see.
Well, and so you mentioned that the Chiefs were at the top of the EPR all year, and I wanted to ask you about how, kind of looking at it retrospectively a little bit this season. Obviously, you feel pretty good about where the Chiefs ended up, but how I mean, I don't even know if there is an interesting answer to this, and so if you think there's not, you can tell me to bleep off and we'll move on to something else. But how did you feel that it all performed this year? Like, it's got to be such an interesting place to be kind of creating a new way of measuring football teams, and then seeing how I don't even know how much you would allow results that are unexpected to influence the model and vice versa. I have no idea how those intricacies work. I'm just very curious how you felt like it performed, and if it was vindicated in some places, if you found things where you went, ooh, that's something we adjusted over a few weeks, and how this run went with it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really nerve-wracking, to be honest. Yeah. Especially, this is the first time I've put out work there that's on such a big scale and on a national level for all teams, not just little tidbits about the Chiefs. And telling people, your team's not that good, even if they've won a few games, telling them your team is pretty good when they haven't won that often early on in the season, led to a lot of angry fans. I remember, it's funny that some of the people that get most upset are actually fans of teams that are losing, but your ratings say the team is actually okay. So the Vikings started out 1-5 this year, and I was still projecting them to win, I believe, 6 or 7 games for the end of the season. And the amount of Vikings fans in the comments going, there's no way this trash team can win like 5 of the next 10 games, like not a chance, blah, blah. And sure enough, the Vikings ended up winning like 6 or 7 games. So there were definitely some teams like that, like the Vikings, where I felt really good on. The Steelers were another one where, despite being undefeated, I didn't have them as the best team in the NFL. I think they were third or fourth. That said, they did not end up being the third or fourth best team in the NFL. So that is one where I consider it kind of a miss. But yeah, as you mentioned, the whole process, you can't react to crazy results early, and you have to have confidence in your process and building the model. And so what I do, and what a lot of people do, is basically when you build a model and you test like how good it is, and what you do is you take a lot of data up to a certain point, and you use that data to inform the model, to train the model. So let's say everything in our database from the year 2000 to 2016. And then you test and you see, okay, don't tell the model anything about 2017, 2018, or 2019. We already know what happened. We already have the answers to the test. Let's give the model the questions and then grade their test and see how they do. So that's essentially what I did, and it outperformed the Vegas spreads for 2017, 2018, and 2019. And so that gave me enough confidence that, okay, even though we don't know what's going to happen in 2020, this model also didn't know what was going to happen 3 previous years and still did pretty well. And so I felt confident to go ahead and roll it out. And it happened to work out that in week 1, I think I had 75% of games correct against the spread, not as total. So that gave me some initial kind of dopamine and good feelings there. And then, yeah, throughout the season it did pretty well. It ended up at 54% against the spread, which isn't, going to make you rich, but anything above, 52.5% or so is considered making money. So it's pretty good.
That process is, I feel like I barely understand it on a surface level, and it's fascinating. And understanding it better probably only makes it more interesting. How are you? This is. I have no idea if this is a good question or not. How are you adjusting whenever you're saying, all right, take all this data from these, this 16-year window or whatever? How is that working predictively with the number of things that it has to take into account there, including stuff like the changes that happen from year to year over the course of games and whatnot? Like, I just genuinely don't even think I begin to understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not simple.
Right. All right, fair enough.
But basically, the way I can describe it is, if you want to figure out, if someone gave you a coin, right, and they told you it's not a fair coin, so it's not going to be half one side, half the other, and they were like, okay, you tell me how often is this coin going to land heads? And you don't have anything with you, no calculator, like how would you figure out how often it's going to land heads? Well, you probably just flip it a bunch of times and count. And so that's really all modeling is. And then you would use that. So let's say you flipped the coin 1,000 times, and 600 times it came heads. You feel pretty confident, okay, 60% of the time, if I have this coin, it's going to be heads. And so all I'm doing is then kind of adding a lot of coins and moving them around some. So let's say you now flip the coin underwater. This is a stupid example.
This example is great.
I've ever come up with.
This example is great.
Let's say you flip the coin underwater, and now all of a sudden it only comes up heads 55 times. So, and you flipped it 1,000 times. 550, and you flipped it 1,000 times. You can then guess and say, okay, water makes the coin 5% less likely to flip heads. Right?
Yeah,
so
I'm
you
here.
can start to test all these different little effects by just taking all this data, and thankfully, the ideal world, right, is we would like do a randomized control trial and line all these players up and tell them to play a game under certain conditions and with like certain strengths, move players around, be like, okay, Mahomes, you're done with on the Chiefs, you're going to go move to the Ravens, we're going to run these games again. And that would be the ideal world where you're doing what's called a randomized controlled trial, which is like, what happens to get vaccines approved and things like that. But we can't do that. But thankfully the world has so much randomness in it. There's just a lot of things happen that we can't predict, and things just get mixed up, and that allows us to kind of do what we call natural experiments, where we basically are able to take this data and tease out real effects without actually having to control for them. I don't know if that made any sense at all.
It does.
That was basically like an intro to modeling 101 class.
No, that's great. That's great. I might go back and listen to it in the podcast again later and like take notes and then go through them. No, but that does make a lot of sense. And it's again, I understand that you're flipping a lot of coins and then doing a lot of math beyond that. But I do think that's actually really helpful, and it does sort of it's instructive of what this whole process looks like in a way that I don't think most people, myself included, understand at a very deep level at all. Do you want to talk about something that is way easier for me to understand that's going to make people more upset at us?
Yeah, I'd love to.
So whenever the game was basically over on Sunday, the Chiefs had run the ball with running backs 9 times and they'd picked up 20 yards. This is the end of my statement.
No, I mean, my thing is, I don't know how many undrafted free agents by the NFL play-by-play name of D. Williams need to have efficient games in the playoffs when it matters in January, when it's cold and you got to pound the rock. I don't know how often that needs to happen for people to understand that running is a production of rushing production is a product of scheme and offensive line play, and very little about the talent of who's running the ball. And so, Darrell Williams got a lot of great carries and did well. But overall, like you said, the Chiefs didn't run the ball with running backs much at all and put up 38 points despite that. So it should make you question what you think about need to establish the rock.
I appreciate the way that you took that, and also I've really picked my spots on this recently because I've much to everyone on Twitter's dismay or shock and total awe, I really have not enjoyed this conversation for quite a long time at this point. The fatigue has set in very, very deeply for me because it's just people getting angry at things that they're not going to listen to anymore or whatever. And maybe I do that also. I don't know. I'm willing to believe that there's some of that there. But whatever, that's fine. This might go back to similar to the swing of how we're feeling about coaches being more aggressive situationally. But what do you think is going on in these conversations about how much, again, the conversation is how much do individual running backs move the needle? That's sort of the I think at least the most important part of this conversation that I wanted to be farther past sort of as a collective football world. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going on there in terms of how confident you feel about the grand amount of data that supports where you're coming from, and then also the amount of pushback that comes from it from people who haven't bought that yet? It's a very big question, I guess, but
Yeah, it is. And I think, first, I think the most important thing for people to understand is it is not about the talent of the player, of the running back. And that's, I think, probably the biggest misconception or response I get on Twitter that I think is just lack of understanding is that people will be like, oh, you think, for instance, the Chiefs' first-round pick, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you think that just because he's a rookie and hasn't been playing well, like he's not going to be really good later, or like, what, you think the Chiefs' talent evaluators are just stupid? Like, just things like that. And it doesn't have anything to do with the talent of the player. It's just, in fact, it's almost the opposite. It's that all of the running backs are so good because growing up, most of the best athletes in middle school and high school ended up at the running back position. Yeah. And then it's so hard to be a running back, and the selection criteria and the selective pressure to be a professional NFL running back is so hard that they're all pretty darn good. They can all make people miss in the open field. They can all run with bursts through a hole. You might see certain players do things in a certain way, but at the end of the day, they can all get the job done for the most part if they've made it to the NFL level. And as far as my confidence in that, I mean, I was pretty confident in before this year, and I'd say I'm even more confident now because the one thing with the Chiefs' decision is a lot of people said, well, sure, this may be true in general, but here's how it's going to be different for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And what I wrote back when the Chiefs made the pick was that may be true, right? Like, it's silly to be 100% confident about anything. We could very well be wrong on this, but show me. Like, find me some counterexample that proves me wrong. And no one's been able to do it, including the Chiefs this year. So, yeah, I'm pretty darn confident in that conclusion right now.
Have you been surprised at all with how this is now we're getting Clyde specific and someone's going to tweet me and it's fine. But have you been surprised at all with how the Chiefs have used him and the running back position as a whole? It could be Clyde, it can be Darrell Williams, it can be Le'Veon Bell, whatever. Because to lead the witness here, I have been. I expected him to end up in a bigger role in the passing game, maybe because that's what people tried to sell me on. And frankly, I mean, we've seen them use their running backs more in years past, it seems, than they have offensively this year, with the exception of whenever Chad Henne has been playing and then he's been throwing to the backs again.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, even Damian Williams got used quite a bit in the passing game.
Comparatively, yeah.
So, yeah, I was also on board with him being used in the passing game more, not necessarily because of any special skill set he has to possess, but just because that's what the Chiefs seem to like to do. But I wish I had more insight why it hasn't happened. It definitely hasn't happened. If you look at the numbers and how few targets there have been to the running backs. B, how shallow they've been. So if you look at like the average depth of target to running backs, it's a good 2 to 3 yards below what it was last year. And so we're seeing the occasional check down, the occasional screen. But we're not seeing almost any, wheel routes or angles or just anything to the middle or side of the field, down the field at all. Yeah. And so I don't really know why that is. It's definitely been a little weird. But at the end of the day, the Chiefs are still an offensive powerhouse in the playoffs, and they apparently don't need that part of their offense.
Yeah, I mean, because I actually think that I'm guessing, right? This is guesswork. But I think that's a pretty good argument that you just sort of accidentally made there, or purposefully made. But like the offense has been really excellent without those targets going to the running backs in a way that maybe they've figured out, either by numbers or by hunch, that those passes to Damian Williams deeper downfield than they've gone this year and more often than they've done it this year were effective and efficient and safe and worked, but that if they have the option between throwing to a running back and throwing to Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce, that they're choosing to do the latter, and that Patrick Mahomes is choosing to do the latter. Andy Reid is trusting Mahomes to make those choices, whatever, and to make those throws, which, if that is the logic, I'll hit the big red button and say I'm good with that also. So actually, like, that would make sense to me if that's sort of been the crux of it. Maybe it's not, maybe that's made up, but it makes as much sense as anything else at this point to me.
Yeah, agreed. And even if not that, it could be that defenses saw it on film over the past couple seasons and decided to take it away this year and have done so successfully. But at what cost? Like you said, it just means Hill and Kelce are getting more targets, and that isn't really who you'd want the ball going to if you're a defense. So.
No, that's not. I don't think that's a winning defensive strategy. Probably not. Ethan, thank you very much for making some time for us tonight to talk about all sorts of things. It ended up being more big picture than I thought we would even be, but I enjoyed it. I'm sure someone listening did. Rudy fell asleep, but that's my fault, not yours.
No, that's great. Yeah, you can check out my book, Intro to Coin Flipping 101.
Man, that was. I thought you were about to plug a book. I was like, I didn't know either. Oh, well, maybe you should. If that ends up being kind of the baseline for learning about modeling and analytics, that maybe I could do some good. If so, use that title; it'll fly off the shelves. Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Have a good one.
Ethan Douglas of The Athletic. You can follow him on Twitter at Ethan C. Douglas. Check out everything that he's doing right there with EPR is fascinating. And honestly, just a great follow. And if you listening right now are not fully up to speed or fully on board with some of the bigger conversations around the sport that can come through the analytics. There's the joke from one of the Gridiron Heights episodes where Patrick Mahomes is snowboarding down to everyone else in the MVP race, and he's reading a book, and he says, do you think analytics cheapens the sport or strengthens it, or something to that extent? And I will say that I have only become more interested in more elements of football by knowing about how the numbers can further educate you and further explain things that previously seemed unexplainable. So to me, that's one of the reasons that I've enjoyed some of these discussions and some of this reading over the course of the last several years. And I think you will feel similarly if you give it a shot, if you haven't yet. No better place to start than with Ethan's work. Again, on Twitter at Ethan C. Douglas. We'll take a break. Whenever we come back, I'm just going to read spreadsheets because that's where games are played, because that's what I believe. That's probably a good representation of myself. We'll talk about that next.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
Drive for the win and score huge savings at your Kansas City Acura dealers. As Kansas City makes their playoff push, we're pushing out deals on award-winning Acura SUVs and sedans. For a limited time, score jaw-dropping lease deals and low APR offers on the all-new 2021 TLX sedan and the 2021 RDX crossover SUV. The MVP has arrived. Pre-order the all-new redesigned 3-row 2022 MDX SUV and experience the future of luxury performance. Visit your Kansas City Acura dealers today.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo. What is Zipline? It's Golden Oak's fast and easy online mortgage tool that leaves you with more time to plan a family movie night.
I get to pick the movie.
And clean up the popcorn you weren't planning on sharing. At Golden Oak Lending, we speak mortgage and love translating it. Right now, rates are at a historic low 2.5%. Visit goldenoaklending.com to use Zipline. NMLS 114937, 2.5% fixed, 2.655% APR on a conventional 15-year mortgage with 30% equity and approved credit. JLB Corporation, 8595 College Boulevard, Overland Park, Kansas.
Have you seen what's happening with the stock market? Record highs every day. How long can this possibly go on for? By the way, this is exactly what happened right before the 2000 dot-com bubbles burst. Remember that? Protect your savings in retirement by putting them into something safe like real gold and silver. I'm not talking about gold or silver stocks, but into real gold and silver you can actually hold in your hands. How do you get real gold and silver? By calling the Oxford Gold Group today at 833-600-GOLD. Now, the Oxford Gold Group will teach you everything you need to know about owning real gold and silver. It's so much easier than you think. So call the Oxford Gold Group right now at 833-600-GOLD to get your free gold and silver investment guide. The Oxford Gold Group is the only gold and silver company that I trust, and you should too. Get the Oxford Gold Investment Guide today and learn how easy it is to have real gold and silver delivered to your home, or how to have real gold and silver in your retirement account. Call the Oxford Gold Group today at 833-600-GOLD. That's 833-600-GOLD.
Do you purchase products for the food service industry? Then get Regal. Healthcare, get Regal. Hospitality, get Regal. Go to getregal.com. Regal Distributing is a local Kansas City company in the food service and janitorial industry for over 60 years. Regal Distributing saves your business time and money by providing customers with the right product. The time is now to buy from a company that will service the heck out of you. Buy local, buy smart, and buy from a trusted company that has been helping their customers grow for decades. Visit getregal.com and get Regal today.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Brian Pringle with Victory Ford at the Legends in KCK. Victory Ford is dedicated to one thing, serving you. Our staff are experts in providing you the knowledge needed to make the right decision on your next car or truck. Fantastic customer service doesn't end when the sale does. Our dealership also staffs a 5-star service center with the highest rated technicians and amenities. Visit us at the Legends Auto Plaza on the southeast corner of 435 and Parallel or online at victoryfordkc.com. Victory Ford, where our first price is better than their last.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
And that's all impressions lead to home. And for me, home is Steve Spagnuolo and Bill Clinton, and they're never good.
With Joshua Brisco.
But that's okay. But my new theory is, can I do a Pennywise the Clown impression? And if so, does it eventually turn into Steve Spagnuolo? Or Bill Clinton?
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Just me going, Georgie! Georgie, what time is it, Georgie? Where's my honey badger, Georgie? Where's my honey badger? Probably wouldn't have screwed up the liner there if you would have been paying attention and not trying to tell me about how great Michael Porter Jr. looks for the Nuggets right now, Rudy.
I actually was looking at the computer. I just forgot that I had most of the liners obviously in.
I didn't even know which liner was playing until the end, because the entire time that liner was playing, Rudy was in my headset telling me about how Michael Porter Jr. is leading the Denver Nuggets right now, which unfortunately is on our television screen in here because apparently we get altitude. I didn't even know we got that channel.
That's why I'm a Nuggets fan, because if you have DirecTV or Dish, Kansas City's the home market of the Nuggets, and so I had Dish like way back in the day, and that's how I found out. I was like, oh, we have the Nuggets. I like Carmelo. That's why I became a Nuggets fan.
And the rest...
It simply was just a case of accessibility.
And the rest is insufferable history. That's a perfectly good reason to become a fan of an NBA team here.
Yeah, I always liked Carmelo Anthony.
Sure.
And then it was like, oh, I can watch his games. Like, this makes sense. This is easy. I'll be a fan.
I'm not a fan of your fandom.
That's all right.
Although I think you'd be annoying no matter who you rooted for.
Maybe.
I think for Beards, it's accentuated by him being a Celtics fan, you know? I think there's just something... If he was like a Raptors fan for no reason, it'd be harder to root against him. But he really, Beards being a Celtics fan is...
I could easily root against him regardless of what fan base. Like, I'd find something. Like, right now, it's mostly the fact that he roots for an NBA team that doesn't like black players. But if it was like Toronto, I'd find something. It'd be something along the lines of, I'd be like, you're not patriotic enough, Beards? I can't root for an American team. Got to root for a team outside of the States? Interesting, Beards. I don't even believe in that argument, but I go with it.
Here, you want to play with fire? I didn't even know that apparently the Bills stayed in the locker room during the national anthem of the AFC Championship game, but I found out about it on Twitter today.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I'm surprised that here's the thing. I could honestly care less.
Couldn't.
I'm just couldn't.
If you could care less, you do care at least a little bit.
More.
Yeah,
couldn't
sorry.
care less. No, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm not proud of the fact that I have an instinctive response to that.
No. I would prefer. I'm not out here trying to give out false information. I don't want people thinking I actually could care less.
Right.
I appreciate the fact
that not care less.
I truly could not care, could care less.
Yes, nailed it.
I'm very surprised though that that was not mentioned like in any like the broadcast or the game, just because that's just something that typically becomes like not necessarily a story, but like gets mentioned.
I saw that there were. I don't even remember how I found these tweets, but there is a very popular.
Let me guess. It's a tweet by somebody who is not using their actual face.
Oh yeah.
You know, there may be some colors involved. An eagle of some sort as an avatar.
No, there was a very, very well known political pundit of a certain persuasion.
Clay Travis.
No.
Josh Hawley.
Well, so the second one's
Rush
not
Limbaugh.
a pundit. The first, yes. No. You said Rush Limbaugh, and I confused him with the other one. There's a somebody who tweeted
Rush.
as it was the time. What?
You said.
It's similar to Rush Limbaugh. You said
similar to Rush Limbaugh. Cream Rush. Brandon Rush. What's the third Rush's brother's name? Maybe it's him.
I can't believe you didn't start with Brandon Rush. Honestly, that was the most sort of jarring thing to me.
I don't remember the oldest Rush brother's name, but if I would have, that would have been the better answer.
But someone tweeted at the
Rush
time
the band.
that they were now rooting for the Chiefs because they came out for the anthem, and I don't know. There was that, but then I saw it again mentioned in my mentions, fittingly, from someone who does not follow me. I just had a tweet about the football game. And I'm going to try to find it here so I can at least give credit for the person who responded because it was funny. This was my tweet. Here's how this thread went. I need my Twitter to open. Oh, well, I've muted the guy, so I'm not going to get to quote him verbatim. I don't think. This is I got a lot of. Here we go. So I tweeted, who do you think is going to win Coach of the Year? Kevin Stefanski, who got eliminated by Andy Reid, or Sean McDermott, who's about to be eliminated by Andy Reid? Got a bunch of retweets and a bunch of likes and all that stuff. I'm very popular, very cool. And then somebody with no avatar, just the gray like silhouette, responded, both teams lose. Wouldn't come out national anthem. Anthem. What? Both teams lose. Wouldn't come out national anthem. And then someone named Brian responded with, I spent all week preparing to watch the team stand at attention for 2 minutes. They really let me down by foregoing that and instead playing a football game. And I thought that was a funny response.
That's a good response.
It was a good response. I need to like that guy's tweet. I thought that tweet was funny. How did we? Not a tweet of mine really. A tweet of mine really popped off. I'm very cool and popular. How did we get there? Brandon Rush.
Yeah.
How did we get to the anthem thing?
Cream Rush.
There was just a.
No, I mean it started
there was
off
some point
with,
of reference.
It
for
started
that.
off with essentially. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't remember how we got to that. It was that
a political pundit said something.
It was about the anthem.
Oh, because I said Beers isn't patriotic enough.
Wow,
like if he was a Raptors fan, I could find.
And then
something.
also the thing about Boston sports.
Yeah. Really, just Boston in general, but
Anyway, I didn't even know that was a thing until I saw people tweeting about it angrily at people who did not know that it was a thing.
Feels right.
Really does.
Those snowflakes making something out of nothing.
It's, by the way, snowing right now.
Yeah, they're saying it might snow again also tomorrow. I don't like
I'm not sure how I feel about it. I do have the door open in here.
I'm not a fan of this weather.
I'm okay with it.
It's miserable.
It's crazy though. They're falling. If you get really quiet, you take off your headphones, you can just hear anthem. It's crazy. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. There was I can't believe that was the rabbit hole we ended up down. I mean, I just didn't even know that it was a thing that happened. Brett Coleman, who is mostly ends up talking about the Texans. I think he's a Texans fan, but he's a good Twitter follow and looks at all sorts of NFL stuff all the time. He tweeted about some stuff the Chiefs are doing yesterday, and he has the pass chart for Mahomes here, and I want to read you this because I thought it was really interesting, and then I had a takeaway that I thought was interesting. He said, so I finished going through the Chiefs game, and honestly, I think that this was one of the best coaching jobs that staff has ever done in the Mahomes era. Pat was clearly hobbled, and so they created a highly structured game plan that looked like the Alex Smith days, and it worked. RPOs galore, and they limited the amount of throws to his left to take pressure off that lead toe. Mahomes himself didn't drop more than 10 yards once all game. It was precise, calculated, West Coast perfection, mixed in with occasional Mahomes magic all at once. Loved it. That's good analysis, and he did not throw to his left very much. I didn't even think about it until I saw the passing chart. But here's the crazy thing about that, which is, again, good analysis. The crazy thing about it is that I'm buying what he's selling there for the most part. He's got a couple of didn't throw left very often, never dropped more than 10 yards back, had some Mahomes moments, but they weren't usually the crazy ones on the run. I think he tucked it and ran it one time legitimately over the course of the game. Moved around a little bit, but not as much as we maybe have been used to. The crazy thing about all that, though, to me, is that I never thought once for a single moment in that game, not one play in that game, did I think that either Mahomes or the offense in any way looked limited. They put limitations in, but it was executed flawlessly in a way that made that offense look as good as it's ever looked. I mean, every single thing worked.
Yeah, I never, at no point in the game, one, if you had told me that during the game, I'd have been like stunned. But at no point in the game did I ever feel like there was something the Chiefs couldn't do, and not that they couldn't throw the ball left side. They just obviously they made just a
there was a decent amount of there were a handful of short passes to the left side and then 2 deep shots to the left. But most of the things were on the right side.
And they made a decision to do that to help capitalize on Mahomes and what he could physically do, which is smart.
Don't make him step into that toe harder.
It is just funny that you could essentially take away a side of the field from the Chiefs and they're still the best offense.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Because that's what happened. A side of the field was taken away from the Chiefs due to a Mahomes injury, and they were unstoppable.
Absolutely unstoppable.
At no point did I feel like they were limited in any way from doing anything.
I'm going to run this by Seth tomorrow, unless I forget, which is there's a reasonable chance of, I suppose.
Always possible.
But I'll run this by Seth. I'm a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger on Alex Smith. Alex Smith days, Alex Smith offense, whatever. But the fact that you can say you can say with a straight face that it was a highly structured West Coast perfection game plan. Putting Patrick Mahomes in that space and having him be just the best quarterback we've ever seen without it being the big Mahomesy game plan that we're so used to and so in love watching is remarkable. Because it once again, it finds another way to elevate the scale and the impact of what he's doing in this offense. I mean, if you made Patrick Mahomes if you took away all the Pat plays, the stack of note cards, the Pat plays, if you made him play in the exact structure of Alex Smith's version of the Chiefs offense, the Chiefs would be this team minus a couple of those insane highlight plays. But even then, there were some of those highlight plays, they just came out of the pocket. They were just curving a bullet through 3 defenders in the zone, in a zone defense. Seth tweeted out basically that clip, and it's a great throw. You're going to find 1,000 of those because Mahomes is excellent in literally every facet of the game. And frankly, look, we'll talk. We'll get to Super Bowl stuff. We'll have plenty of time. No Eric Fisher is obviously a really big deal, but this is a Patrick Mahomes with a toe issue, and maybe he'll get surgery this offseason. Maybe he will not get significantly better in the next 2 weeks. I would find that a little hard to believe that 2 weeks of not having to do a lot on that toe would be anything other than helpful. But maybe it's a thing. I don't know a lot about turf toe. Maybe it's a thing where it's like, hey, listen, you're either it's basically gonna be what it is until you take a lot of time off or get surgery. Totally possible. But assuming that it is any percent better by next week, or in the next 2 weeks, this offense also did not have its number 2 receiver and 3rd target offensively. Sammy Watkins was questionable. He did not play. This offense completely ran from Patrick Mahomes to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and that was almost completely it. You had a big handoff to Mecole Hardman. Pretty much everything else could have been done like anywhere by anybody in this offense. They're gonna get Sammy Watkins back. This offense was great yesterday, and there's still room for it to get better. It's crazy, and it's very, very exciting.
And also, they now have 2 weeks to figure out essentially what they want to do on the offensive line
100%.
versus having to figure it out on the fly.
How are they? Yeah, that's a great point.
And like that's going to help out a lot, right? Like Tampa Bay obviously has their defensive front is really good. They get after the quarterback, and Shaq Barrett's going to get he's going to get it. He's going to get pressures. Like you can't you're not going to keep them from like Mahomes is going to get hit a couple times. But you're not giving Andy Reid 2 weeks to figure it out versus, just like, oh, it happened during the middle of the game, and now what do we do?
100%.
Which they figured it out pretty well.
Well, and Reid even said today that, they've practiced where Rimmers goes to left tackle and Wiley plays right tackle. And I'm trying to remember the game that Rimmers missed because Fisher came out and battled through it. Wiley went to right tackle is what it was. So Wiley went to right tackle. He got a full game, basically, at right tackle. I think it's going to be okay. But you're right. They're gonna have to figure out how to make all of that work, and they're gonna have 2 weeks to figure it out. They're also gonna have 2 weeks to figure out how to get pressure on Tom Brady. And I'm excited for that game. I'm excited to see that develop over the next couple of weeks. But I'm also not done fully just luxuriating in the fact that the Chiefs won another AFC Championship game against a team who got hot at the right time. And the Chiefs wins, they all came by only one possession. Do those wins even count? I don't even know anymore. We'll wrap up the show next.
At JB Briscoe, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
What's up, Kansas City? Jake Gutierrez here to tell you about my friends from Lightstream, a division of SunTrust Bank. Are you thinking about the high interest rate credit cards you used over the holidays? I am. When it comes to refinancing your credit cards, you've got options. But only Lightstream was ranked #1 by J.D. Power for customer satisfaction with personal loans. Lightstream's credit card consolidation loans start at just 5.95% APR with autopay and excellent credit. You could save yourself thousands in interest. You can even get your money the same day that you apply. Apply today for a credit card consolidation loan from the company J.D. Power, ranked #1 for customer satisfaction in personal loans. Plus, get an additional interest rate discount simply by going to lightstream.com/Jake. It's lightstream.com/Jake. Subject to credit approval, rates range from 5.95% APR to 19.99% APR. Include 0.50% autopay discount. Lowest rates require excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Jake for more information.
When you want Chiefs, follow the leader. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Mahomes takes a knee, and that is it. The Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl.
The job's not finished. When we went into the season, we weren't talking about going to the Super Bowl. We were talking about winning it again, and we're trying to run it back. And we mean that, and I'm excited for the opportunity to go out there and play against a great football team and try to do that.
Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey KC, Jeff Badine from Mercedes-Benz of Kansas City. Thanks to you, our loyal customers, 2020 was the best year in our history. We're celebrating with our certified pre-owned event month. Get 1.99% financing and we'll even make your first 2 payments. Rosa & Rosa, premium vehicles to choose from. You can afford your dream car at Mercedes-Benz of Kansas City. Visit us online today at mbfkc.com. Mercedes-Benz of Kansas City, 1/2 mile east of State Line Road on Highway 150. Minutes from everywhere. Financing with approved credit, 36 months, MBFS, ends 1/31/20. 2 payments up to $1,500, select CPO months.
At Mercedes-Benz of Kansas City, the executive loaner fleet is a cut above the norm, featuring an assortment of 2020 Mercedes-Benz models. Now, combine that with 1.99% financing on most of the executive loaner cars, and you have a golden opportunity to make your next vehicle a Mercedes-Benz. Need more incentives? They need your trade-in. So go see your next car at Mercedes-Benz of Kansas City, 1/2 mile east of State Line on Highway 150, or online at mbofkc.com. With approved credit, see dealer for details.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
The problem is that the joke was so bad that I did find it funny. It was just sort of all of the frivolities that got us there that really, it made it not feel quite so worth it, you know?
Yeah, 99% of people have no idea what you just said there. Frivolities. I guarantee you 99% of people listening have no idea what that word means. You know why? I don't know what that word means.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I'm afraid this is going to consume the rest of the show, and I'm retweeting this tweet right now from my own account, so you can check it out. There's a Twitter account that's display name is Plastic Surgery Consultant. Did you see this yet, Rudy?
I'm not.
Go ahead and grab your phone. Go ahead and go check out the latest tweet retweeted by your boy here. And it says they got the this plastic surgery journey breakdown has been highly requested. Rhinoplasty / nose job, veneers, hair grafting, fillers and Botox, jawline / chin wraparound implant. And then it's 2 pictures of Tom Brady from his first Super Bowl appearance to his 10th Super Bowl appearance. These are pictures of 2 different people. You know, there's like a conspiracy theory that like the real
Josh.
Yes.
These are pictures of like 5 different people.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm starting from the one at the top. But no,
gotcha,
you're
gotcha,
right. You're 1,000% right. You know, there's a conspiracy theory that like the real Avril Lavigne died like 10 years ago and has been replaced by a fake Avril Lavigne.
Yeah.
I know that can't be true for Tom Brady because there aren't 6 dudes this good at playing quarterback, but it looks like 6 different dudes. He goes from looking like, I don't know, like Andy Dalton to... Look at the chin in the third picture, man.
I feel like pick 1's got a little Andrew Luck in there.
That's not bad. I don't know why. I think I went Andy Dalton because his hair just looks slightly red there. I really don't know what I was doing. The second and third pick... It's just outrageous. It's just outrageous. Which also, and it depends on where you... So if you scroll down to the picture below it, you're going to see the plastic surgery consultant showing... I did not know... And listen, man, you got the money to get some work done or whatever. You want to... Whatever work you're going to get done make you happier.
It's a smart move.
Go get your stuff, man. That's fine. Anybody can...
Brady's
whatever
made
you
himself
do.
Look real good.
Absolutely. But I also didn't know about jawline implants. And if you scroll down the thread, you're going to find them. And again, listen, man, if anybody listening to this is wealthy enough to have gotten that, God bless you, right? I guess. I don't know. It's fine. But there are some like before and after pictures of just kind of like random people with implanted jawlines. And it's really, it gives me the heebie-jeebies because I have to think about how'd you do that? Hey, how'd you get it? Hey, how'd you get in there? Hey, what's that made out of? Are you guys okay? Are you sure? But Tom Brady he looks like 12 different people, and it straight up just gives the breakdown of when he got rhinoplasty and veneers, the perimeter of his hairline fully restored. Jawline is tricky. It's terrifying. Go look at it. Bye, Mom.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Weekends are for whiskey-soaked prime rib cooked low and slow, finished over an open flame, and boozy brunches with your besties at Red Door Wood-Fired Grill, Kansas City's #1 upscale neighborhood joint. We just have one piece of advice for when you join us. Come hungry. Everything here is made from scratch, including our legendary chicken and waffles and the best Kansas City strip you'll ever eat for $20. Prepare yourself to take a tender, juicy bite of perfection. What are you waiting for? Reserve your table today at reddoorgrill.com or download our new app.
Hindsight is 20/20. 2020 was a brutal year with a lot we couldn't control. Pandemic, economy, unemployment. What can we control? Our job, our career. Don't look back with 2020 hindsight next year and see yourself in that 2020 job. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Live online classes meet just twice a week. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Hi, this is Justin Cole, Private Wealth Manager at Creative Planning. Over the last few years, we have grown to one of the largest nationally recognized wealth management firms in the country. While we are proud of our success, we are most proud of our Kansas City roots. We were founded in Kansas City and remain headquartered here because there's no place we'd rather be. We are Kansas City strong. Thank you, Kansas City, and thank you to our clients. If you're